And so, listen, I don't care if I get sued. I don't care what happens to me. It's time that the truth got out and that we address the elephant in the room.
Go for it.
I am sick and tired of all the whispers. Okay? All of the eggshells.
I want nothing but justice and truth.
Exactly. And it's just it frustrates me to no end to see that, that everybody's sort of, hush hush around the reality of the situation. And it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's like some people say some things, some people say other things. Then you're like, but I said this thing and no one listened. And that's what really angers me.
Oh my God, dude, we're live.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, we should probably talk about the other thing then. Don't talk about that then. Okay.
Oh my God. Did they didn't hear me talk about the transformations of
yeah, I didn't hear anything about that. No.
Nope. Doctors Jenkins, did they?
Don't know what that is.
Okay, cool.
Couldn't tell you anything.
Oh my God. All right. Let's just start it over. We're starting the show over. I'll edit this part out later. I'll edit this part out
of a live streaming thing.
Right. Yeah. I'll cut it out. You can do that on YouTube. Welcome. You can do that. There's editing tools. You can actually trim stuff out if you really did want to do that in the future. If you ever need to do that, like I'm going to.
Okay.
Welcome to another episode of the Jeff Show. My name is Jeff. And this is Super Bob Rose. I'm going to put my last name. If he's going to put his last name, I should put mine.
It was already in there like that, so I just went, badoop.
You know what? Then I'm going to make you Super Bob. You're just Super Bob.
That's
I think
fine,
that works better. Fine. Super Bob and Bad Jeff.
Thanks.
Yeah, that works. That works for me really well. Welcome to the show, the Jeff Show, which soon is going to be rebranded. I think it's just going to be the Frumest Show, since this is the Frumest channel.
Yeah.
And, I never got around to finishing that story that I started telling you when we first started. It basically ends like this. I decided to just call it the Jeff Show. I was like, oh, yeah, because I'm doing the Jeff Show. It's just Jeff live streaming himself. We'll call it the Jeff Show. And it'll just be a blanket for anything that's not like a specific, thing on the channel. So
catch all.
A catch all. But I think I'm going to rebrand it and just call it the Frumest Show, because I've actually Googled and there's a lot of Jeff shows, but there's only one Frumest, and that is me. So
how annoying would it be if there was another Frumest show? Yes,
would be. I'd be very mad. I've monopolized the last name Frumest. I have to tell you, by the way, Nathan, our friend Nathan, wrote a very lovely.
He did
very lovely post about me, and I just wanted to promote and plug his podcast real quick, called The Real 96 Podcast. And we did like, I don't know what it was. It was like 100 something minutes on the movie Big Bully, which I really did not want to talk about. He said, "Can you do Big Bully?" I said, "Oh, sure, I'll do Big Bully." And I sat down, and not only do I think Big Bully, despite some of its, problematic, what is it? What do we call that thing of the times? Product of its times.
It's a product of its time. Sure, definitely.
Product of its time sort of thing. I think
it's about bullying for one. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the least of its problems. But
right.
I think it should be a bona fide cult classic. It
really?
Is really, yeah, man. That plot is. Do you watch Cobra Kai?
Dude, are you kidding? I've watched like 3 times. Yeah.
Okay, so Cobra Kai's takes its plot from Big Bully, like some of it, like all the.
Okay, I wouldn't say that they actually stole it from Big Bully.
No, I'm not saying they stole it.
Okay, I can see the echoes of it.
I'm watching it and I'm going, oh my God, this is just like what they. It's just the character dynamics.
No, but it's essentially the same setup as Cobra Kai.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so it's like.
It's like how Austin Powers is the same setup as Demolition Man. It's that kind of a thing,
Wow.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. Holy crap.
It's almost exactly the same setup, dude.
You're so right about that.
Yeah.
So, I just was blown away by Big Bully.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I was saying his podcast. You were talking about his podcast,
Right? Yeah. Big
Yeah,
Bully. I was blown away, and I had so many notes. And it just goes to show you, don't worry about what movie you get if Nathan asks you to do his podcast, because it's going to be a good time adventure. You're going to find, like, you couldn't put a gun to my head to watch Big Bully if I wasn't assigned to do it. So it was such a it made me realize, like, there are all these incredible, wonderful, like, it's hard to believe that Big Bully was like a mainstream 90s film.
Like, released in theaters.
Yeah, like
yeah.
Like,
different
that's
time.
what they made movies about back then, like
that would be a direct to like streaming thing now without even a hint of an audience. It would just go straight, and it would just be a blip on nothing. But it was in theaters back in the day.
Right.
I'd probably watch Big Bully for fun now, though. Unlike you, I probably would actually pop.
You should.
I haven't seen it in 20 years, probably. So
neither had I.
I do a double feature with that and Carpool for a Tom Arnold double feature.
I'm doing Carpool with Nate.
Are you serious?
We're doing a Tom Arnold trilogy. I'm doing Carpool, and I'm gonna do The Stupids.
If you guys need a third for either of them, let me know.
I'll ask Nate. Yeah, sure.
Because The Stupids is one of my absolute favorites. I love The Stupids. But he's already to give Nathan credit, he's already contacted me about 3 other movies that he wants me to be on. So I don't want to push myself on somebody's show. I'm just saying, like, it's a great concept. You
want to do something stupid.
For our age group, 96 is a great year. It's a great year of memories, and that's when like cable hit my home. It's not just when I was going to the movies for the first time. It's when cable was like pop. You know what I mean? Like when I was absorbing everything on Earth, like the little cable guy I was.
Little chip. All right, let's get into this. Let's launch into this because there's a lot. We have a lot to cover.
So much to cover, man.
All right. So first, right off the bat. In a two words. Do you hate it or you love it?
I think that's a little bit black and white. Can't we have shades of gray in here? How's this, Jeff? The Snyder Cut, much like Man of Steel, has everything I absolutely love, and absolutely hate about Zack Snyder in one delicious, absolutely overstuffed, indulgent piece. How's that? That's my shortest answer I could give.
Okay, fine. I thought it was, you know what it did more than anything? More than it being good or elevating it upward. I did thoroughly enjoyed it. I want to say that right off the bat. It's absolutely flawed, obviously. We knew it was going to be flawed in some way, shape, or form. But instead of going, oh my God, it's like phenomenal, flawless, whatever, I would instead like to highlight how truly abysmal and terrible and such a misstep and such a talk about mailing it in / like really just like treating your audience like crap. I'm talking about Warner Brothers and the theatrical cut of Justice League.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's the thing is, we could do a podcast without even talking about the content of this movie, what happened here, because not only could you talk about the fact that Joss Whedon was brought in, and the narrative we were given as the public was given was that he was going to gently finish the movie that was set before him. And that is not that was a lie. That was essentially a lie. Right. No. So not only was that a lie, it turns out that also he was toxic on the set, and he cut out all the people of color from the movie.
He was a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit.
He's just a piece of
shit. And also on top of that, his edit cut out literally everyone of color in the movie and their story arcs.
Right.
It's just an unending litany of trash that happened in 2017. It's
right. And I mean, and one of the most egregious, I think, just to show you the sloppy carelessness of the theatrical cut of Justice League, just the fact that they CGI'd. The
mustache.
DC, this is the DC equivalent of what is supposed to be the flagship Avengers movie for Warner Brothers. And they CGI'd the upper lip of Henry Cavill. And I got to tell you, you see the Superman, the difference between in Superman is night And Dave, we don't get enough Superman. I wish we got a little bit more Superman.
No, yeah, I would too. But having seen, I don't know about you, but I saw the theatrical in theaters, regrettably.
Yeah, of course. That's the one time I saw it. I saw it one time in theaters. That was it.
Man, yeah, it's just like legendarily bad CGI on the lip. I mean, like, I mean, the internet's covered this ad nauseum. But
I know.
How could it have been that? Like, it was already a misstep to begin with. But in the end, you know what? I'm happy the way things turned out.
They signed off on it. They signed off on that. They said that's fine. That's acceptable. That you could do that to his lip.
I want to say though, I'm happy with how it turned out because in the end, I'm happy that Snyder got his cut, and I'm happy that I really love Mission Impossible 6, and I like Henry Cavill's mustache in Mission Impossible 6. So in the end, we end up with 2 movies I like
and facial hair that you like.
Yeah, right.
You're all set.
Right.
Well, here's the other thing too. I think probably the greatest victory, and Snyder Cut is a victory by far and few between. It is a ginormous victory.
And where I was going to say, we're keeping our heads on the ground by saying it is still a giant corporation making this movie. We're not acting like this is an indie film by any means, right?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Not. But it's a victory, and I'll tell you why it's a victory. It's a victory because this is like the first. I mean, this sets a precedent unlike anything before it, where a diehard fan base, or a fan base clamored for something, and then the creators responded saying that there is a Snyder Cut, it does exist, yada yada yada, it needs some work, and then a whatever you want to call it, major corporation
decided to take a bet. They decided to essentially market their streaming service on a movement, and it kind of all converged. It's a genius idea. But I want to point out that I don't know the timeline on this stuff, but you could argue that Sonic kind of did that first. Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. That's a rare time where that happened too.
That was a footstep. That was a footstep. No, you know what that was? That was dipping the toe in the pool, and it worked out really well for them. Sonic ended up being the highest grossing movie of 2020 by default.
Not a big bar to cross.
Well, listen, I mean, they were not expecting that at all.
It's a good kids movie. It's a good kids movie. Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet, but I know that it's incredibly well received, and like I'm stoked. I'm so happy that happened. But to me, that's like the dipping the toe in the water. This is the first time, like, usually when a corporation, like, or whatever, a studio, when they lay their proverbial, no, it's a bad metaphor. I'm gonna reel myself back. I'm gonna use my filter, Jeff, you're live streaming on YouTube. When a studio puts their foot down with a franchise where they've invested hundreds of millions of dollars, they live or die by that move. No, what I'm trying to say is they're like bullfrogs. Okay, here's my analogy.
Okay,
a bullfrog will try and swallow something. If it's too big, because bullfrogs are very voracious. This is a terrible analogy. What am I doing?
I don't know. I'm just following you, man. You just go.
No, bullfrogs are voracious eaters, and what they will do is they will try to swallow anything that comes across their face. And if it's too big for them to swallow, they'll never let go. They'll die trying to swallow it. It's just the way bullfrogs are. And big studios will put out a movie and put hundreds of millions of dollars, and whether it's a mistake or not, they will stand by that mistake because of all the money they invested. I should have just explained what it was. I didn't need a metaphor. They put their foot down, and I think a great example, without deviating into this, we don't want to go into this. A great example is, we all know how much of a mistake the new Star Wars trilogy was for whatever reasons. Not getting into it. Don't want to get into it.
Nope.
Because we will go down that pathway and we'll never come back.
Another show.
But there's no Lucasfilm and Disney are not going to go, we totally fucked up on this. Like,
that will never be
made a big mistake. That's never going to be fixed.
Yeah.
We stand by that. And there's so many. I mean, that's literally every single franchise over and over and over again. Only recently with stuff like Terminator films, like you see, they keep trying to revamp the Terminator series. They're like, okay, we realize we fucked up. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna do it again.
There's it's like that Texas Chainsaw type of constant retconning of every sequel is a retcon of the last one.
Right.
Where you see that, you don't see that in major studio films. They usually have to stick with the problems.
Yeah, they stand by what they do. They just
Age of Ultron was not well received, but I would argue that Age of Ultron is maybe one of the most important movies in the entire franchise.
I actually like it. We spoke about this last time.
We spoke about this.
Age of Ultron. I don't have a problem. I don't know why people do.
What Marvel did though is they stuck by the storytelling that they had. They didn't try to retcon Age of Ultron. They took it and they went forward, and look at all that is sprung from it. It's
they doubled down. You doubled down on it.
Yeah.
And so rarely, so this is the first time that a studio is going, we really shit the bed. We shit the bed hard. There is this crazy fervent movement. Not only is it a fervent movement, but it's like, it's a toxic, somewhat toxic.
That should be noted. Yep.
Toxic movement too, but you want to know what they're doing. And I hate this. I hate what people's response was like, oh, well, it's really shitty that they're pandering to the people, to the movement, because, you're rewarding bad behavior. And I say nay to that.
So you're talking about it, like in the last week, people like basically calling out, which they should, rightfully so, the toxic Snyder Cut people in the last 5 years. Like, there was a toxic element there that should. I don't have to address it all here, but there was a very toxic element there.
Right, but that goes into the narrative of like, don't give these people what they want because they're toxic and fuck them. But the reality is, Justice League is a really shitty movie, and we needed the Snyder Cut to make things better.
Can I also say, like, we're not even talking about content at this point, but
I know, oh my God.
But I think it's important to note a few things when I talk about this stuff with people outside of your opinion on the movies. Like, regardless of what anyone thinks, Zack Snyder turns out is actually a really good person. And that's something that a lot of people who hate his movies and his fans don't want to hear. But the truth is, he's a really good person. The Snyder Cut existing gave over $500,000 to suicide prevention and awareness. Like, the mere, and like, you could say, well, why didn't they just donate all the money that it cost to make the Snyder Cut? Warner Brothers isn't going to do that. But the fact that they paid for a movie and that movie existing led to all the suicide prevention money getting funneled into charities.
Yeah.
That was Zack Snyder's family decided to do that. I mean, and also Ray Fisher. Ray Fisher outed Joss Whedon, talked about how toxic he was on set. He also happened to say that Zack Snyder was like his hero and gave him everything. So it's kind of hard when they call out.
It's a good PR move. It's a good PR move for Warner Brothers to go, okay, let's bring back Zack Snyder. Let's do this. And as it turns out, because after all of what Ray Fisher was saying about Whedon, to watch the Snyder Cut, and let's start here. Let's just dive in because there's so much to. Let's just dive in with Ray Fisher. And I got to tell you, I've been, watching or following Cyborg in some way, shape, or form for 20 years. I never have ever put like understood or put any like this much weight and emphasis on how like how powerful and important a character like Cyborg actually is. Yeah. And this movie changed that for me.
His father's like praise of the killer speech, if you want to call it that, to save the cat term. His praise of the killer speech of what the Cyborg is capable of was, I actually thought that was one of the best parts of the movie, where he was like telling his son, you need to understand that you can basically wield the all information on Earth at your fingertips like a baby's toy. It's easy to you. I was like, I kind of knew that about Cyborg, but I think with Zack Snyder's grandiose, overwrought presentation and beautiful cinematography and the execution.
This is where Zack Snyder
it's where he shines. It really is. It's like, you know what it is, Jeff? It's like, what is the best part of Watchmen? It is easily the creation of Doc Manhattan sequence. That is like absolutely really fucking masterful. Like, anyone who even hates that movie should admit that segment is fucking masterful, right?
It's Well, I would just argue. I'd just be like, "Fuck you! It's all masterful."
I know.
Yes,
I was just saying, at least that segment is masterful.
It's a great segment, and this is where
this had shades of this had shades of that part of it when he was just laying out what Cyborg is to the world,
right?
What he can mean to the rest of the world. I was like, like it was kind of what I got the feeling of like Jor-El in Man of Steel telling Clark what he could mean to the world. It had that.
And you want to know what else momentum. Two other things. One, he was, I mean, obviously he was super integral to the plot. Two, I love the fact that he is, and you never see this in movies. I love the fact that he is a black guy, but his blackness is never once mentioned. It's not central to the plot. It's like, it's just, he can just exist as a person of color.
The movie doesn't feel like it's like, not that we're the guys that should be talking about this, but it doesn't feel like tokenism in any way.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah,
this does not. And in Justice League, Joss Whedon's Justice League, it just feels like pure tokenism. In this movie, never once is it. There's no
he's barely in that movie. He's barely
in it.
He's barely in it. He's not in it.
But my point is that his arc is not predicated in any way, shape, or form on the color of his skin or some sort of obstacle that he has to overcome because the color of his skin. He can simply be a POC, a person of color, in the plot, just doing the things, happens to be a black guy, representing, that sort of thing. And I think it's to me, that was so refreshing. It was just really nice.
It was.
He's being shoved down my throat,
In a lot of ways, it's almost like Warner Brothers actually canceled a movie starring him. He feels like the main character in a lot of ways, and they re-edited it to make it. I guess the 2017 focus was supposed to make it Batman's movie. I guess that was the goal there. It doesn't feel like it, but if I had to guess of who that cut thought it was the protagonist, I think it's Batman. I think that's who it thinks it was. But this movie, I don't feel like it thinks that anymore at all. It's Cyborg.
Yeah,
if I had to point to a protagonist,
I would say that it's nobody, but I'd say Cyborg.
He has the most elevated arc.
Yeah, he definitely has, and he has probably.
I'm not broken. I am not broken. That's like a great line. Yeah,
and he also has the most complete arc too. Like out of all the characters, I don't think Wonder Woman really has much of an arc. Does she?
I would say Aquaman and Wonder Woman are left to the wayside. But in defense of that, if I was trying to defend the movie, I'd say Aquaman and Wonder Woman also have their own franchises going pretty strong. So they don't need them really for this.
I'm not saying what I mean? It's not one way or another. I'm just trying to think about all the individual characters.
I think Flash has an arc because he's his father's acceptance of his own goals and his own path forward. Right. Like he's when he's saying that whole soliloquy while he's running through time.
Right. Hold on 1 second, Bob. We have a comment, and I usually don't get too many comments on my other shows, so let's just take it real quick. They only hinted at it towards the end, but it sets up Flashpoint where he creates multiple alternate universes perfectly. Thank you, Ballad of the Broken.
Totally agree there. What I loved about this is that in this 2017 cut, it's completely edited out and completely changed. Right. But when the moment when Flash is running to hit the mother box to wake up Superman to bring him back to life, I loved that. Yeah,
gotta be honest with you. Yeah. I do not remember 2017 Justice League at all. Literally so little of it do I remember. Some of it. It's
forgettable. I'm not
bland and forgettable.
Basically, what was edited out was that when Flash was running, it didn't have the backwards motion thing where he ran so fast that he caught up to it and it started to rewind out of the water.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it didn't have that. So cool. That's what I really liked about that whole scene. Like it was already hinting at future in the movie, and then of course, like the comment said, Flashpoint. Like we're watching him learn to run through time in this movie,
right?
Like, and the Superman thing was just the slightest teeny bit by 2 seconds, 2 milliseconds, and then then the ending was what it was, and that's going to give us another Batfleck appearance and stuff. Yeah,
look. Oh my god, there's so much. I don't even know which direction to go.
Yeah, there's so much to talk. We can talk about the characters though. I mean, like,
all right, let's go. We talked about Cyborg for a minute. Let's put him on a shelf for a second.
I'd love to talk about
Flash. Let's do Flash.
Well, yeah, Flash. I mean, his
arc.
Who
are you going to say? Who are you going to say before Flash?
I was going to say, I was kind of comparing 2017 and now.
Okay, do it.
And well, I mean, the Flash is non-existent in that movie too. I think he's almost edited out as much as Cyborg.
Yeah, dude.
Totally. But what I think the big difference for me with the two cuts and the characters is Batman. Because Batman in 2017, with what Whedon added and how he cut the rest of it, Batman comes off like this. Even he's almost as dumb as he is in BVS. And I know we don't totally agree there, but he's like the dumbest Batman in BVS. And in 2017, he comes off as this like almost sycophantic loser who's like, I don't think we can do it, guys, without Superman. Brr, we need him so bad. He just comes off.
I remember that.
He comes off really bad and odd in the 2017 cut. Like, he's like, we're basically useless. We can't do anything without him. We're just, but this whole thing is about Superman. That's it. There's nothing else.
Right.
This cut, number one, I think this is his best Batman performance. I feel. I mean, it didn't have the cool like warehouse thing where the warehouse siege and all that, which was cool. I'm not saying it wasn't.
I think so far, now that I've seen everything with Batfleck, I'm gonna go ahead and say I think Dawn of Justice is by far his.
That's your favorite. That has the most of him being Batman. I think definitely.
Yeah.
How's this? I think this is a better Bruce Wayne performance.
You know what I did? You know what moments I really didn't like? There was like all these like moments of like, yeah, dude, I'm a rich guy, which I just kind of was like, it seemed very superficial for the Batman Bruce Wayne, not Bruce Wayne, not the Playboy Bruce Wayne, but the Batman Bruce Wayne wouldn't say stupid things like, "What's your superpower? I'm rich." Like that's just. I kind
of wish that line was, "I'm smart."
Yeah, that
I really wish he said, "I'm smart."
That's what Batman would say.
You know what though? It's like I understand where like the push and pull of the writer is, because it's like, "I'm rich" is a better joke. It is. It's a better joke. Right. But "I'm smart" is what he should say, and what Batman would say.
It's like nuts. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Right. I mean, come on. Ballard says, and the inclusion of Darkseid sets up sequels to the original 2017.
Now, this is a good point. Can we talk about this for a second? Because
let's go to Darkseid, since there's not much Darkseid. Let's go to Darkseid now. And
pop culturally speaking, I think a lot of people compare this with Endgame. I see that on Twitter a lot, and that is not fair. That's not fair, because this should be compared to Avengers 1. That's what this is.
I am going to be the devil's advocate for the sake of dynamic, interesting conversation and disagree with you. And I'm going to say that it should be scrutinized against Endgame, because
I don't think so.
Okay, but here's where I will put a chip in whoever said that's bucket, because Zack Snyder has been quoted as saying that the Justice League trilogy is actually a 5 movie trilogy. And
right, so this would be like Avengers 1 or 2.
You are correct. It would be Avengers.
I mean,
1,
Jeff, if you watch this movie, you can't tell me it's like not okay. There's more to come. I mean, obviously, it's insane.
No, I know, but it's the third movie. It's the third movie in a series.
Yeah, you're right.
Dawn of Justice is kind of like a mini Justice League movie, even though it's not. It's a Trinity movie.
It's a Trinity movie, yeah.
A Trinity movie leads us to a Justice League movie. They team up against a threat. As a matter of fact, it really would have been more prudent for them to call Dawn of Justice like Birth of the Justice League, or just call it Dawn of Justice. If you think about
honestly, just call it Batman versus Superman and leave off. They should have surprised us with all that stuff and left it out of the title.
My point is that we got a little bit more than a Batman versus Superman movie with the addition of Wonder Woman, and sort of like this idea of like, outer worldly threats and stuff. And so I don't think we're seeing the third movie. And the other thing too, is we're seeing the third movie in what was supposed to culminate as like a sort of like a peak that was eventually going to go a little bit higher before coming back down. You know what I'm saying?
You know what the more fair comparison would be is Infinity War. If you had to compare it, like you know what I mean? Like the second half would be Endgame, and this is the Infinity War. I guess
Endgame is never going to be made. Endgame is never going to be made.
No.
And
I mean,
we
also. I mean, Zack Snyder himself, depending, this can always change, but he has said that Warner Brothers is going forward with the continuity of 2017 because they've already done it. They've already done that continuity.
Wait. They're going forward with so that would mean that they could do more Justice League.
So as it sits right now, remember, like the Wonder Woman and Aquaman both made like $1 billion. So
yes,
those are coming from apparently the continuity of the 2017 cut. And that is considered canon within this whole thing. Whereas Zack Snyder's Justice League is like it's like a branch from you go from Batman versus Superman, and there's two branches.
So you're telling me
he said that himself. I'm not saying that.
Right, I know, but you're telling me that they're going to continue on
with the continuity as 2017. That because they already cemented some things or something. I don't know.
Oh my God, is that they just what's funny? They were
literally given a chance. Man.
Yeah, but they were given a chance with a reprieve, and this goes back to this idea of like we have literally seen a new precedent set where you can resurrect something that was essentially dead in the water, or you can amend something. And you know what? Here's the big hope. And again, I'm literally going to make this statement. If you want to make a response statement to the statement, please do. But then we can move on from it. Yeah. I hope that this shows Disney that they can have like Jon Favreau go in and do some sort of special edition cuts of the trilogy to make it feel more cohesive and sort of amend some things and since they're not since it's technically the end of the Skywalker saga, it's not like it's going to mess with anything that they're planning. And so therefore Disney has a really, really good opportunity to really sort of put things right if they want to. They have footage on the cutting room floor to do this.
If they look, man, I mean, I'm here. If they do it, I'll watch it. In my we've talked. I don't want to diverge on it. But I'll say this: I personally feel that Rise of Skywalker, story-wise, is unsalvageable. So, I don't care what's on the cutting room floor. You'd have to reshoot a whole new movie.
Gotcha.
It's just unsalvageable. It's it's unbelievable. I can't. Yeah, another movie, another podcast. Yeah.
The point is that I think that there's other things though there are other things too within fandoms that. Or like, oh, I wish we could get that version of that thing.
Sure,
and this allows, usually it happens in comic book form. Oh, that script, we're going to turn it into a comic. And you'll get to almost see what happened here, So I'm hoping that is what happens. We'll see.
You're saying you're hoping that he actually gets his sequels to this movie made?
No,
is that what you're saying? Or you're
saying
the Star Wars thing? You're saying like
I was saying of the Star Wars thing, but
I don't think that. You know what? I really don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to just be. I think Disney can see the Mandalorian bucks in their eyes, and they're going to keep going with the streaming. I think that's what we're going to get: is streaming, and maybe a movie in like 2 years.
I hope that they reconsider because I love this whole arc and we could talk about that a little bit later, where Zack Snyder's movies were going to go, where The Batman directed, starring, and written by Ben Affleck, which I wanted to see more than anything else. That was
Ben
my number
Affleck
one.
Is a good director.
Yes, and he's a good writer, and he would have handled that character so well. That was also a huge mistake, in my opinion.
I mean, Warner Brothers screwed that up. It's not just that they ruined the movies. They turned Ben Affleck off to the whole process. They were like, he just basically was like, yeah, no more. I'm done. Thanks. It's great.
It's just such a bummer to me.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Darkseid for a minute. So we get to see Darkseid, and I'm gonna tie this into Infinity War. Actually, you know what? I recant my statement about comparing it to Endgame, you're right. It is 100% Infinity War. And we talked about this with Infinity War, what was the thing that made Infinity War so successful? We both agreed unanimously about this.
It's Thanos' movie. He's
that
the
it's
protagonist.
Thanos' movie.
Yeah.
And in this movie, it doesn't feel like, even though Cyborg is kind of like the closest thing we have to a main character, it doesn't feel like anybody's movie. It should feel like somebody's movie. And
there
maybe
is
it's driven Darkseid's.
I actually finished watching the Snyder Cut about half an hour before we started. And
I wanted to rewatch it, and I did not have the time.
And it's so
I'm
long.
so glad that you did. Yeah.
Well,
thank you.
I'll say this. I kind of wanted to anyway. If I told you, if I said I wasn't a fan of Zack Snyder, it'd be a lie, because as much as I hate things he does, I've watched his movies a lot and I enjoy them. So it's a lie if I say I don't enjoy them.
I think, you know what it is? Maybe it's just that, like, you like him, but you're so frustrated by some of the things that he does.
I love his execution in certain things, but I hate the way he wields his characters. And most of this comes down to Superman, but I'm trying to stay away from only talking about Superman.
Right.
Because I could. But what I wanted to say before we got in this, watching it again, what I like in this cut, and it's very slight and probably not enough for a cynic, but they gave Steppenwolf an arc. Or not even an arc. They gave him trying to impress Darkseid like a father figure was new, and even though it's such a small little thing, it gives him something. It makes him not just a big guy. It makes him almost like have a personality.
Yeah, 150% agree with you about this.
Just a little touch, like a 80s action movie, how you had the henchman who just wants to please the boss.
Right.
That's all I need. I love the 80s action movies.
But that's true to the character in the comic book. So they literally gave him the one thing that we all know Steppenwolf for, and they said, "Here, you do that in the movie as well." Here's what I was let down by with the Snyder Cut as well. I thought we were going to get a little bit more of a tussle with Darkseid than we did. I should just be grateful that we got Darkseid at all. Again, they did not amend the Snyder Cut in any way to make it feel final. They literally wanted to show you this is what would have been. So it's not like he shot a different movie. There is the end thing that he obviously shot, but it's not. This is the movie that was finished, because you can't say that like Darkseid showed up and then him and Superman traded punches. No, that didn't happen. It's exactly how it would have been in 2017 if Warner Bros. Didn't screw up. Like that's what we saw, like, and a part of me kind of wishes that with the $70 million budget, is there some way that they could have manipulated the edit to sort of make it feel a little bit more final than it does, because it really does leave you reeling for the next movie, which is a shame. That's the one shame.
It's great to see Darkseid. It's great to see the Omega beams on screen. That's all awesome. Boom tubes and what have you, but it does feel like scant. It feels like Thanos in his Guardians cameo or something like that. You know what I mean? Where you're like, it's like a cameo. It's not. I don't
that's
feel
what
like
it was supposed to be.
That's what it's supposed to be. Yeah,
that's what
it's not fair, because it's just. I think when you everyone
we can't judge Snyder on this because he
wasn't planning on that. Right. Yeah.
So
you can't sit down and watch this like it's like that. It's like supposed to be that movie when it's actually no. This is the movie of 5 years ago where we've just all lived through these other movies to this point now. It's not fair.
But if someone was like, here, you can give Snyder one criticism alone.
It would
literally be this. It would be if I had to pick though, out of all of them, it would just be that. And this is assuming that it was in his power to do so, because he could turn around and say, you know what, friggin', comic book nerd, shut the fuck up. This is what I could do with the footage. I couldn't do what you would want me to do, or I couldn't do what you're requesting. And what I'm requesting is just wrap it up in a way that gives us a little bit more finality. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how
Jeff, instead what you're saying, he almost twists the knife with that extra shit. Like he not only doesn't he do that, he goes, no, here's all the stuff that could happen that never will.
You want to know what? And I think that has two, there are two reasons that motivate that decision. The first one is a giant fuck you to Warner Brothers.
He wants the fans to be in an uproar.
He wants the fans to be in an uproar, and B, if the fans are in an uproar, maybe Warner Brothers will change their mind and he can open up his toy box and play with his toys again. And you know what? I cannot blame him for that. I would do the same thing if I was in his shoes.
When anyone, a lot of my friends hate this movie. They hated it. I have a few friends who liked it, but the ones who hated it, they act like when they're like 4 hours, 4x3. What's all this pretentious bullshit? And I was like, dude, you already had one of the most indulgent filmmakers ever literally get a chance to be indulgent. What did you expect this to be?
And also, like
it was going to always be completely indulgent. What if you sit down not expecting this to be indulgent? You don't know what movies are or what has happened in the last 10 years of film.
Why are you not grateful that you're getting a 4-hour cut of a movie?
I think they didn't like Snyder to begin with. That's
but it's like I find that frustrating because it's
but you know what I mean? Like it's the nature of it. Like it's not his fault that a studio gave him $80 million to be indulgent. Once again, it's the world's fault. It's society's fault. You blame somebody else, I guess. But I was like, Snydered so hard this time that you couldn't Snyder more. It's 4 hours.
Right.
It's in 4:3 IMAX ratio. He did exactly what an auteur worked.
It's 4:3. I was wondering.
Yeah, it was shot in IMAX. So he left it like that because because like you said, Jeff, he's like, fuck you. I'm gonna do what I want.
Yeah.
And it's like you gave me $80 million to put it on a streaming service, Warner Brothers. I'm gonna give you an aspect ratio that doesn't fit.
I love it,
genius, man. It's
it is genius. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But the other thing that this movie suffers from that I feel that again, I'm going to compare it to Marvel.
Yeah.
Marvel,
it's hard not to.
Marvel absolutely has some really bad CGI-itis from time to time. But I have to tell you, there's something so premium A1 about most of the CGI in Marvel films. It's just like I can't explain it to you. You do not got the thing that killed me in 2017 with Justice League was just how we talked about Cavill, but I'm just saying even just Steppenwolf looked just, oh my god, it was just garbage.
Steppenwolf was like 1999 CGI villain. He
looked this is your big bad for your superhero team up movie. Like this is garbage.
Yeah.
It was just garbage, man, all the way through.
I'm not as big of a critic of CGI as other people are. Like I'm not one to jump on that part because to me, I love like you do too. You love movies where we suspend the disbelief of what the effects, practical or not, look like.
And I do. And I normally do.
Yeah, but I guess when you get up in these like hundreds of millions of dollars, it starts. The criticism is.
I just think, and this is more aimed at the theatrical version than it is the Snyder Cut, because I personally saw a lot of seams in the Snyder Cut. You could tell there was a lot. You could really see a lot of green screen sort of flatness, in a lot of stuff. But again, in my mind, I'm thinking like he's literally has like a limited budget and a very short amount of time to turn this around. They did he's literally shooting scenes in his backyard to make this work. And you're kind of going in your head like, why?
Did you read today? You sent me the article today about how he wanted Jon Stewart Green Lantern in there.
Right.
And he shot the scene in his backyard and they said no, and they made a Martian Manhunter.
Right. And the CGI was definitely better in this version than the 2017 version. But I'm looking at Darkseid and I'm just like, God, Darkseid he just looked like garbage compared to Thanos. I don't know, man.
Dude, it's a hard thing because like I feel like over the course of 2 movies, we literally get intimately involved with Thanos, and the performance capture on Josh Brolin is it's unparalleled. You can't compare it.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's not fair. It's like comparing Gollum to like Resident Evil or something. It doesn't work. It's just not going to happen. And Darkseid, as cool as it is to see him, he has no personality here. He's still mustache twirling villain.
Yeah.
He doesn't. It's not. I'm not saying that's the fault of it, but he doesn't have anything to do. Really.
Yeah.
It's just the truth. He's still mustache twirling. Thanos, we have the time to develop him to actually believe he believes in this stupid idea his crazy idea that makes no fucking sense. I still like totally believe it, that he believes it, that he believes that killing half the universe is important.
Right.
Darkseid doesn't have anything remotely on that level of substance.
It's
so
kind
the
of like
performance
Thanos.
doesn't
Why do
matter.
you even give a shit? Like, honestly, why do you even give a shit?
I know. Whenever anyone like criticizes Thanos, I'm always like, he's called the Mad Titan for a reason. He's insane. He's not mentally there. You can't apply logic to his plan. It just doesn't work.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, Darkseid he's a cameo in this movie, and
he is.
The CG, is it as good? No, but does it have to be? He's barely on screen.
No, you're
it's
right.
fine. He looks like that. He does look like Darkseid.
Right.
I mean, he looks like Darkseid.
I did not like I guess it worked for the movie. Like, I understand why they made the mother boxes the way that they are. As a giant comic book nerd, I hated the way that they sort of turned the mother boxes into these artifacts. I always loved that it was apocalyptic / what the hell is the other one? Other planet? What's the other one where the new gods live?
God, I have to look it up. I know about Apocalypse.
Apocalypse, and there's 2 planets. They were split in half by a comet, and you have the same race of aliens that are like godlike beings.
I know what you're talking about. I just don't know the name.
I think it's called New. Oh my God, what is it called? This is going to really, really bother me. I'm going to have to look it up. But the guy who sits on that weird like sling is Darkseid's son. They switched sons to make a piece. Whatever their technology is, they use mother boxes. A mother box is like a cell phone. It's like I'm
in agreement that they're not nearly as cool as they were in the comics. But I also get now with the Snyder Cut, 2017. Yeah. Totally, I would have been on board with you more, but the mother boxes here, the way they sell them with the Cyborg connection, you're right. They look like they are made, or he is made from the same thing as they are. So
they
that
morphed them
works.
into a MacGuffin. They're
a MacGuffin, and Cyborg's technology and his CG look the same as their CG, and they're the same style, at least when they're like fluxing and stuff. So it works for that. I'll give them that.
Did you watch Doom Patrol?
I haven't. No. And you know what? Every criticism I've seen of the Snyder Cut has been like, well, Cyborg's better in Doom Patrol. And I'm
He's great. He is great.
I have no doubt. I'm going to watch Doom Patrol, and I have no doubt it's going to be awesome.
He's younger. He feels slightly younger, maybe like 2 or 3 years younger in Doom Patrol than he is.
That's fine and all, but that's not a criticism I care about.
I know.
Better in Doom. Not saying you're saying that, but when I see people say that, I'm like, I don't care that Doom Patrol did it better. Doom Patrol's a TV series. This is a movie. Yep. I don't care. That's not me. Did I like what happened in this movie, and do I like what happens in Doom Patrol? That's the question. It's not a comparison, really. I don't know.
Point is, the mother boxes serve the movie the way that they're supposed to. I just personally, I was kind of just like, again, and I didn't remember.
Lame. They're lame.
Well, I just didn't really remember what they were used in 2017, and then this was really my crash course again on this movie, and I'm going, I guess, all right.
2017. With I remember the scene. I don't know how they changed it, but when the scene right after Superman attacks them because he like just woke up. There's like that scene where the mother box is sitting on top of a police car, and a boom tube just comes down and lifts it up, and all the Justice League are just standing there like, huh? And it's just like, I don't know. At least they're in this. At least they were still actively fighting him, and it was actively a problem, and so it was taken while they were still like jostled from the fight. Where in the 2017 one, it's just like, oh look, they're stealing the mother box, and nobody does anything.
Do you want to talk about Batman's cuffs now, or should we?
No, we can talk. No, there's so much to talk about just when it comes to your mind.
This is an element that just absolutely did not work for me.
Yeah, it's stupid. All. Yeah, it's terrible.
It was so stupid, and I'm just going like, I don't know, man. I was just so like taken aback that they went that way with the cuffs, and just going like, this is really above and beyond for a Snyderverse that's born out of a Nolanverse. This was just an element for me that I just thought was so eye rolling. And literally, Superman. Listen, Bob, I agree with you for once about the your whole thing. where Superman is just could easily kill Batman, despite all the times in the comic books where they always have some reason some way.
Jeff, I would argue that in this scenario, it's even harder to argue how it didn't happen. Like even with those bracelets, I was like,
he should have killed him. He would have.
I was like, if you had a Superman that goes rogue and it doesn't care about killing anymore and wants to kill, I was like, you might as well just say your prayers and just lean down and just accept. Because you're even Batman. I was like, he didn't prepare for this. This Batman, especially, is not prepared for this. His whole thing was those cuffs. It was literally the cuffs.
And amazing how Clark blows up one cuff and then shoots him again.
And he has another one. Yeah.
He just gives this
he has another one.
It's like, go for the head.
And if it wasn't for Lois intervening, he would be dead. Batman would be dead.
Right.
And here's the thing: is there's two moments in the Whedon cut that I do like. I hate saying it, but they're not in here. And one of the conventions that Whedon cooked up for the 2017 was he Alfred and him have this like vague conversation about the big gun in case Superman goes bad or whatever when they wake him up. He's like the big gun. And do you remember when and the way they changed the 2017 cut was that he throws Batman into a car and he's about to and he picks him up and he holds him and he does like the "do you believe" thing, and he's about to kill him and he's like, Alfred, I need the big gun. And it turns out that the big gun was just Lois showing up and him seeing Lois to stop him. I kind of like that. That's
so much, but that puts Batman. See,
that makes Batman have an idea, and it makes him. Yeah, it
uses his superpower, his super brain,
and it also puts something over on us as the audience, because we're like, what's the big gun? Does he have kryptonite? Does he have all this shit? No. It's just
so much. I mean, but I got to tell you, because again, and the one thing that I always kind of listen again. I like that Lois Lane has like a strong presence in these movies, but there are some scenes where she's just like literally wandering onto like a superpowered battlefield, and I'm like, dude, like you should not
to turn into applesauce, dude.
Yeah, like nothing against Lois. I like Lois a lot. But I'm just saying, and I just feel like so many times where that sort of situation happens, and this is a time where it actually makes sense and works, and like I want that.
Her running in actually stopped it from being dangerous for the first time. Like she actually stops it. She's not running. She knows that she's it. She's the only thing that can actually.
Right.
And in this cut, it also sets up her being there. It's not Alfred bringing her. This cut does do a good job of her grieving and going to basically his grave every day, which is something I've actually seen my relatives do in my own life. It's something people do, is they go visit a grave every day when they're grieving. For years,
100%.
Totally get. I actually could relate with something Zack Snyder did. Amazing, like, oh my god, he did it for once. But I dug that. But the bracelets, that was just shoved in. Alfred going, "Hey, I made these." He goes, "Oh, good." It's like.
Overall, all right. The fight is a good fight in both things. I like the idea of the fight, because what it does is it gives us an excuse to have Superman go up against the rest of the Justice League. It shows us why they need Superman so badly, because of how much more powerful he is than the rest of them put together.
It also shows their own power set. I think it's like it shows you that Wonder Woman is obviously number 2, but even number 2 can't break that ceiling, But like it shows you, like Aquaman, he kind of gets pushed around. The Flash, for the first time ever in his life, notices somebody can actually move at a speed that they can see him.
That whole
moment is great.
Hold on, let's pause real quick. Let's fold that into the Flash right now.
Yes,
I just want to say that moment was absolutely stupendous and absolutely a payoff to what we saw, what might be actually my favorite part of the whole movie. First of all, I think besides Ray Parker's Cyborg stuff, I think that the two things that Snyder handled the most masterfully in this movie are the Flash and Cyborg. And the Flash,
I would agree, except for one exception, but I'm not going to interrupt you.
Okay, you tell me that right after I say this about the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
The Flash, that whole scene, that whole introduction scene, was
yeah, it was good.
I had my jaw hanging down the whole time because
Yeah.
I'm thinking in my head, I've already seen 2 super powered fast people scenes. We saw it in Age of Ultron. We saw it done super duper well with Evan Peters in.
Those are great scenes. As much as I don't like Bryan Singer, those are great scenes.
You can't
deny how good they are.
How great they are. And again, I just want to put a disclaimer: just because we talk about scenes from movies that we love made by really shitty, terrible people does not mean that we
approve
like
of them
or approve of them. But we can't, just in the way that in, I really hated the Freddie Mercury movie a lot, but I can't deny how great that Live Aid footage was. Just phenomenal.
Oh yeah, the execution on that whole scene is amazing. Yeah,
you can't argue. Like that was like Oscar, whoever did it, whether it was him or the other guy, Singer or the other guy. You can't argue that that's not like that's not worthy of like Oscar, some sort of Oscar nomination. That recreation, just showing us the same footage that we've seen a million times on YouTube. But let's do it from the side of the stage. Let's go around the Pepsi cups on the piano thing. You know what I mean? Just like
I'd recommend if you like that, you should watch Rocket Man because he directed.
I've seen it.
Oh yeah, I really love Rocket Man.
Same director, and I liked Rocket Man a lot more. And I thought it was a crime. Super quick, and then we're gonna get back to the Flash.
We're talking about Rocket
Man. No, but I thought it was a crime that whole dance sequence for Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting was just fire.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Fire and the Crocodile Rock. But anyway,
back to Snyder, Flash.
The Flash. We had seen so many super powered people running in movies recently. How is Snyder going to make this any different from anything? And not only does he manage to do it in a way that we've never seen before, but he shows us the Flash. He shows, just like with Cyborg, he shows us the Flash as he's seen in the comic book. The Flash is way more than a guy who is just super fast. He has a relationship with his surroundings that's much more different than normal people's relationships with surroundings. And it's almost like, watching Snyder do this, I'm going, it's not that the Flash is even moving super fast. It's almost that his power is that he can make everything super slow.
Yeah, that's always what I've understood. I think what we've seen in other movies, they've kind of like Evan Peters' Quicksilver. I think they do a good job of showing that he's perceiving things as extremely slow, and he can turn that off and on. It's not him moving fast. It's almost like he goes into Flash mode. They do that on the TV show too, pretty well. But
do they? Okay, I'm not familiar with
that. I'm a big fan of the Flash TV show, and they do a good job. But I think that Snyder definitely has a way with it, and obviously this Flash has a stylistic choice with the lightning that I used to dislike, but I kind of like now, where the lightning appears before he starts moving, which it bothered me when I originally saw it, but now 5 years later, I'm like, you know what? It's not too bad. It's like I actually kind of dig the fact that all this immense power coming from the Speed Force is leaking out. And it knows it ahead of time before he starts moving. I kind of dig that.
So want to. I can't wait for the Flash movie. And
the guy who directed it,
perfect.
Perfect. Really crazy.
And this kid who played in the Flash,
Ezra Miller, he's great.
He's great.
Yeah, what's for a Zack Snyder movie? The hot dog line. I was like actually laughing out loud. And I never laugh at a Zack Snyder movie.
Was so charming. Well, here's the thing: all of the humor actually resides. That's the other thing I was thinking about. The beauty. Again, we're just going to keep comparing this to Avengers because we can't stop. The beauty of all those Avengers movies and the Marvel movies is that they are so good at injecting humor into their scripts. No matter what is going on, no matter what the film is, there's always some moment, whether it's usually very dry humor that just finds its way into the script and just leaves you. It makes everything more lovable. And Snyder's like.
It's that I hate to say it too. You already covered this, but like it's got that magic that the Buffyverse kind of had. The proper asides, the quippy comedy. It had quips.
Quips.
I mean, let's be honest. He did make Avengers 1, and it did set a tone for the rest of for everything that came after.
Yeah, and Avengers 1 is great.
It is, and Marvel has carried that on. And if you look at Snyder himself has said, he's like, no one does action comedies better than the MCU, which I found an interesting quote from him, because it was like, he doesn't consider his movies action comedies
because they're not.
They aren't. He definitely sees them as something different, but he's also admitting that what I do is not what they do, and that's fine.
Right. And this is this is literally how Snyder is visually telling us, by being like, okay, I'm making one of those big superhero team up movies. So here is my attempt at making the action comedy. The Flash will be the comic relief.
The Flash.
We're just gonna and team him up with, and I love the dynamic between him,
Aquaman,
and Aquaman going back and forth. And I feel like they could have even turned that up another notch. Like, we could have had a little bit more, but they started to see this back and forth between them. And I was really enjoying it. But I want to get back to the scene for a minute. The scene is poetry, where and it's such a simple scene. It goes back to what we were talking about with Schumacher and Tim Burton. Simple superhero mechanics here. He saves a girl from a collision. Right. And he does all of that stuff. And again, he's showing us how he reacts, to physics, essentially, as the Flash. And it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. And
it's like rendered in a way. It's rendered in a way, like you said, there's a little bit more poetry to it than like you would see in an action movie or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some people like say the scene is kind of weird because he doesn't seem to know who she is, and he's like leering at her and shit. And I'm like, I don't think it's that. I think he's saving someone in the midst of trying to apply for a job.
He's not leering at her. He's a guy who sees an attractive girl. They're making eyes at each other from across the way. They're having a moment, and it leads.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is that argument's interrupted by the fact that during this whole moment, he's like, "Oh, a hot dog. I'll use that." Like, he's not that creepy if he's thinking about how to get out of the situation. He's like, "Oh, look, a hot dog."
Wait, I'm sorry. So if I'm understanding correctly, you're saying that you read or heard or saw people say that this was a creepy moment, that he was being creepy with her?
I've seen people say that, yes.
Oh my God.
I'm not disagreeing. I don't see it either. And like I said,
oh my God, they're totally misreading that, dude.
It's capped off by him picking a hot dog out of the air to feed to puppies. He's
even
not.
If he didn't.
I know, but I'm saying it's an innocent scene. It's not anything weird.
Oh my God, it's so innocent. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful moment where, like, I mean, I could relate to that, in the sense of, like, it's like, listen, if you lock eyes with someone, and you have a moment, and then the very next moment they're about to be killed by a car accident, and you have the power of the Flash to save them.
I think he would have saved, man. He would have saved anyone from a car accident.
No, of course he would. Yeah, of course he would. But
I think if I had a criticism about this part of the movie is, I would like maybe just one scene of a follow-up to this. Maybe because that is Iris. It is Iris.
Oh, it is Iris? Oh,
yeah,
man.
that is Iris. So
what is... So it's his friggin' wife, dude. What?
Yeah. So, like, I kind of wanted a follow-up. I kind of wanted it to be more explorative in just one other scene of this. Like, they see each other again, or he actually follows up with her in some way, or she thanks him for saving him.
Would have been in the sequel.
It would have been nice. It would have been in the sequel. It doesn't happen here. I'm not going to say it makes the movie bad, but it's just, I wanted something more to this beautiful scene. I wanted a coda to it or something just to follow up.
I agree. I also want to say that this leads me into something that I just remembered.
Mm-hmm.
The absolutely just the cringy, like bite through my lip cringe expository. I can't say the word, Bob.
Expository.
Thank you. Expository. Forceful expository dialogue in the prison scene with his father, where he has to explain to the audience that why he's in jail and why he's visiting him in jail. It's just like, dude,
it sucks because because I really like Billy Crudup. Obviously, he's great.
Yeah.
And I'm sad he's not going to be in the Flash movie. Like, they should still keep him, but I don't know why he's not. It's Ron Livingston instead, apparently.
Huh.
But yeah, that was announced today. But you're right, because they only have 2 scenes of them sitting talking to each other. They have to throw in the shit that, I guess, if I was watching this with my mom, she wouldn't know what the history of the Flash is. She wouldn't know why that's there. It sucks that it has to be expository. It's just like,
I just can't. And there's a couple other, my God, there's some stuff with between Batman and Alfred too. There's some awkward scenes with Alfred where he's like, "Oh, would you like me to make the tea for you? I'll make the tea. Oh, you're not doing it right. The tea's not being done."
I kind of found that kind of adorable, though. I thought that was a little bit.
It did not.
Wonder Woman wouldn't know how to make tea. She wouldn't know.
I know, but I was just like, "What? This is so." I feel like there's a million different ways to do that moment, and it was just weird. That was a weird way to do it.
There's a lot of stuff that normally would have gotten cut that we got to see because he's allowed to do it this time.
4 fucking hours.
Right, it's 4 hours. So he just fuck you. I'm gonna put every little thing in there. But that brings me to my thoughts into something I really like. And we covered this on the last episode we did, but I think it extends even further here, especially with this cut, is I kind of think I prefer Zack Snyder's Wonder Woman to her own movies a little bit, because in these 2 movies, she's, number one, she is crazy more powerful.
Oh, like, she's awesome in that.
Her power set is just crazy.
That
awesome.
Opening scene.
That bank scene is awesome. It is so good.
So awesome.
So good. Yeah. I just really love that bank scene. But that said, even them trying to keep the football away from Steppenwolf, that whole sequence
that's great.
Awesome. It's so good. Like, I'm so angry that in 2017 we just saw like 3 shots from it, where I was like, this whole thing was just amazing. It was like a cat and mouse game on a giant field with all these Amazons versus Steppenwolf. It was
cool. I remember that was something I remembered from the other Justice League. I was like, cool. Yeah.
But this was an elongated version of it.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I loved the Amazonians with these Amazonians tough as nails with their hammers, and they're like, we're gonna sacrifice ourselves by knocking the things in. I was just like, this is so. First of all, this is super Zack Snyder. Second of all,
when they're slamming the hammers to the wood, I was like, that shot is like 300 in a shot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Amazonians
it's so Snyder. It's ridiculous.
Amazonians might as well be from 300.
They're Spartans. They're Spartans.
They're Spartans. But like, that's what he does. That's what he does super well. And you're right. It does. I would like to see a Zack Snyder Wonder Woman movie. Actually,
I'm not saying
it would be really good.
I would watch that. I'm not saying I don't love Patty Jenkins, because I totally actually do. But to me, it's
I liked her first one. The second one, I was not a fan of.
I was a fan of it. It's not a good movie, but I'm a fan of it. It's really
first one was great. Really great.
I liked 2/3 of the first one, and I enjoyed all of the second one for how horrible it was.
That No Man's Land sequence is just
is incredible. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. I think Patty Jenkins, if she doesn't write them, she should direct them. She's doing
an X-Wing movie, man, and that's going to be.
I'm down.
I'm down too. I can't wait for that.
I think Zack Snyder, he doesn't. It's weird because now I like responding to critics of him while also being a critic of him, and people they have these weird things where they like say that he like sexualizes his characters wrongfully, and I'm like, I don't see the Amazons as sexualized at all. In fact,
not at
all. It's like
powerful women who
they
don't need men at all. Like,
and if you could show me anything in that Amazonian scene that is shot in any way suggestively, I'd love to see it, because to me they look like they're 300 warriors. Like,
dude, I'm gonna be honest with you, Bob. I am so glad I'm not around the people that you've seen this, like, because I would just
basically
be like,
Twitter and TikTok, man, it's filled with this stuff.
Jesus Christ!
Because I don't understand it. Where I'm listening to these criticisms, and I'm listening to them with open ears, because I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not seeing it. But I watched it again today, and I'm like, I don't see how this. If anything,
man, they're looking
Jeff,
for it.
If anything, I think Zack Snyder is way more obsessed with the male form in every way. This is like his movies. look at 300. Look at everything he does with Superman. Look at Ben Affleck in BVS. It's like an absolute orgy of male meat in these movies.
He should have directed. He should have directed Bohemian Rhapsody, because you want to know what my biggest. No, I'll tell you why. No. I'm
just watch Bohemian Rhapsody.
No, I'm going to tell you why. You know what my biggest problem with Bohemian Rhapsody was? Super side note.
I did a whole podcast on it if you want to listen.
Did you? Okay, I'm going to have to check that out.
It's all insults. You'll love it. You'll love it.
I had two big complaints about Bohemian Rhapsody. Complaint number one: didn't see any dick. And listen, I say that as that as a straight man who just simply went into this movie expecting to see just a lot of dick. And
it should have been insane. It should have been like a gay orgy. It's just constant.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
And again, it's not like I was like, bring it on. I'm just saying like that was Freddie Mercury's life. Like part
of
it.
Yeah. That's what I'd want it to be more honest in that way. Definitely. Absolutely.
Right. And 100%. So I was so disappointed that we didn't get any peen when Freddie Mercury, like, and other people have been like, dude, Freddie Mercury wasn't gay. He was like pansexual. He wanted everything. You know what I mean?
It should have just been
bacchanal
orgies, bacchanalia.
Right.
Yeah.
But and the other thing that really bothered me about that movie is just sort of like, I don't know. And it's funny. I have asked, gay friends about this, because again, as a straight white male, like maybe I'm just blind to the thing, but I'm like, this is the message that I read in this movie, is that like, if you don't marry a woman and have children, that you're going to die of AIDS. Like, that's what I was reading in that movie. Like the way that they're portraying his attraction to men was a sinful vice that would eventually get him killed. That he
apologizes for.
Right. And
it's pretty sad, man. It's pretty sad. Yeah. I do not like that movie. Well, like, that being said, I love Queen to death, but
right. Give me Zack Snyder. Give me Zack Snyder's version of
I don't want to
Rhapsody.
I don't think Zack Snyder should direct a Bohemian Rhapsody movie.
Starring Henry Cavill as Freddie Mercury.
I mean, he's going to look good. He's going to look sexy, but he's not going to look like Freddie Mercury, but sure. He's going to look sexy. But anyway, you understand what I'm saying, though? Like, I thought about this pretty heavily, and I don't want to go into it a lot here on your show, but like, I think there is a through line in all of his movies that objectify male bodies, like a bodybuilder looks at other men and how they shape and form themselves, and they're obsessed with that. There is that very present in his movies. And the one time he was accused truly of objectifying women in his movies was Sucker Punch, which if you,
I've not seen it.
Which is, well, Jeff, if you do watch it, know this.
I want to see
whether it's unsuccessful, which I think it is unsuccessful. Zack Snyder intended it as a satire of Hollywood objectification of women. Did he do it properly? Did he convey that message? I don't think he did. But the fact is, the one time he did it, he was trying to satirize it badly. And then you look at all of his other movies, and there's just male meat throughout the whole thing. Henry Cavill does a whole thing in this movie where he is literally covered in baby oil. Like, the behind the scenes is like, the dude is like he spent days covered in a thin layer of baby oil in his chest and arms. It's like,
and when Joel Schumacher did it, they were like, "Oh, you ruined Batman! Fuck you! You ruined Batman!"
And that was straight homophobia. Yeah, they were that. Yeah, right. I'm just saying, there's a through line here that is never discussed, and I am totally down with it. I'm fine with it, but like, there is an objectification of the men's bodies in these movies, especially in this trilogy.
Which is why you're saying it's preposterous that people calling him out for doing
the other thing. Right. Like
ironically, it happens to be the male form.
I think it is. Right. Not in a bad way. I don't think it's creepy or anything. I just find it to be, it's like, there's a worship of the male form, like you would a Greek god, like, or like a bodybuilder. There's like a worship of the form. Anyway, let's go back to story. Yeah, sorry, that sidetrack there is weird, but
no, I thought it was I think it's very valid. And
think about Doc Manhattan and Watchmen, male form. Come on,
dude. Oh my God, the swinging blue dick. Oh my Lord. I'm telling you, should have let him direct the fucking Bohemian Rhapsody movie.
I don't think he should. But...
It would have been like the Dewey Cox scene.
Yeah. Right.
Dude,
I mean, look, I'll watch it. I don't think he should have that job, but I think I'd watch it. Don't get me wrong.
It would be good.
It'd be good. Yeah.
In any case, I agree. Diana is great
She really is. Yeah.
She's phenomenal. And I got to tell you now, here was a mental note that I took when I was watching it. Zack Snyder understands superhero blocking movement, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, he does.
Understands how to translate superhero movement from a comic book page to live action in a way that few do. I would even say in a way that might, depending on who the character is, Wonder Woman being probably the best example of it. And I would say the Flash too, and Batman and
Superman.
And I
told you, man, like, why did I watch Man of Steel so many times?
Let's just call it across the board that Zack Snyder has a probably the best understanding of superhuman or superhero blocking mechanics, adapting from comic page physics.
He understands that. Yeah,
he understands it so well.
There's
He's a genius when it comes
now
to this.
I am a diehard MCU fan. I have not ever said I wasn't, but there are moments in those movies. In Winter Soldier, a great film. Winter Soldier, a great film.
Love Winter Soldier. Yep.
There is a moment in Winter Soldier where Cap is thrown into a city bus, crashing through he crashes like through the ceiling and smashes into the seats, and I'm like, okay, the super soldier serum doesn't make you Superman. It doesn't do that. That's not what it does. And that I'm okay with it because Marvel, let's have some fun. I'm fine with it. But
artistic liberty.
There's an artistic liberty there. I actually think that while you could argue about his problems with story and pacing and all that's dialogue even, that he does spend a lot of time thinking about the physics of these things and what can each individual withstand and do. And that is something you're right. He is so good at. He knows exactly how much everyone can take. Not
even just that.
Yeah.
Not even just that, because there is a line, especially in that scene, another masterful scene. Was that in the other Justice League movie too? It was.
Which one?
The scene with Diana at the beginning, Wonder Woman scene, or was that new?
I think it was actually different, or it was severely cut down. It wasn't. I haven't watched the 2017 and to revisit it. I'm not going to, but I don't remember that.
I don't want to waste the time. But
I don't want to waste the time.
I need to rewatch both back to
I
back.
do not remember her stopping all the bullets, which was awesome.
Right.
I don't remember that, and I would remember that.
Now, here's the thing: there is almost at the same time, as we just said, he understands. You know what it is? It's almost like any other director would look at what Zack Snyder was like, how he was directing or what instructions he'd be giving, and be like, "You're an idiot. That's going to not translate right. It's going to look stupid. It's going to look cartoonish." And yet, at the same time, when you're watching it, not everything, but depending on the character, I'm going to use Wonder Woman as an example. There is almost this weird sort of uncanny valley effect that some of the stuff that's happening, but it's not in a negative way. It's in a superhuman kind of way. Yeah. And you know what? It elicits a reaction out of me. And you know what that reaction is? It makes me laugh. Giddy. Giddy, I'm marveling at what I'm enjoying, seeing Diana block all those bullets with her bracelets, and just, you know what it is? It's just having the balls to.
He's showing what it would look like.
That. Yeah, and just not giving a shit. And
there's a tendency to try to make things look better than they actually would, and I think he aims to say no, this would actually look like this. It would actually look this weird.
He just kind of does it.
He just kind of does it. I can't just, and I'll look at Aquaman swimming. It's like there's a bullet through the water. It's weird looking to me. I'm like, how is that even happening? But it doesn't matter. Right.
And I'll tip my hat to Patty Jenkins too, because I think she does a great job.
No, she does, yeah.
In the Wonder Woman movies as well. There's something, and Gal herself, she has she has like this like sort of blank look on her face when she's doing this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just so like spot on, and like the way she just goes, like she's just getting ready to like charge at the screen, and it's just so.
One thing I say to all the critics of what we don't talk about, what we should, is the actual filmmaking. The actual filmmaking of Zack Snyder, which is obviously the biggest criticism I see from people, is the slow motion. Everyone hates the slow motion. I don't hate the slow motion, but I
love the slow motion.
I love it. To me too, man. And here's the thing: it's like, do you know we're dealing with at least 3, maybe arguably 4 of these characters can move at superhuman speeds.
Right.
I want to see things slow down, because if you don't slow it down, it looks like nothing.
Which, by the way, now to go back to what we just said, we talked about the poetry of that Flash scene.
Yeah.
And now go back to the Superman fight. And you see Superman's eyes.
Yeah.
You see his eyes go to the corner.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's like so suspenseful, because you're like, oh, he can see him. He can track his movement. It's like kind of like freaky deaky awesome.
May I also, when I saw the 2017 cut, I was assured in my brain that was a Joss Whedon moment, because it's so clever.
Right.
It wasn't Zack Snyder's style to be that type of clever. But I'll give him credit. That was the Zack Snyder moment, because he wouldn't have left it in if it wasn't his original intent. So this was for him. It was a very clever convention. It's a whiteboard moment where you write down all the ideas you could possibly have with this fight, and that would be one of them, where the Flash notices he's being noticed for the first time ever, because when he's going fast, he's in his own world. He's in the Speed Force.
Right.
No other being can actually witness him, and for the first time in his life, somebody can do it.
And that's kind of amazing when you think about it, that Superman is so super that he can peek into the Speed Force like that,
Oh, he's not. No, he's not. He doesn't use the Speed Force. Superman.
I know he doesn't.
He can just think and move that fast.
That's what I'm saying. He can see him in the Speed Force. He's so fast. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
It really is. And now let's talk about the big blue elephant in the room here. Let's talk about our pal Superman. Let's talk about the ending. Let's talk about the bringing Superman back to life. To me, I got to tell you, I remember in the Joss Whedon 2017 cut, I don't remember it being so preposterous or silly to bring Superman back to life. It felt so much goofier to me, the way that they go about it in this movie.
This was the same.
Really?
This was it. Yeah, it was in the 2017 cut. It was them dropping the mother box into the
no, but I just mean digging up the grave.
Oh, that was in there too. That was in there too.
It just, I got to tell you, I don't know.
I actually kind of like that, to be honest with you.
It just felt it didn't feel epic to me, the way that
I like that.
Superman's resurrection should have just been like, well, it is when they actually do resurrect.
When they actually do it, yeah.
Yeah. And again, recycling of we talked about economy. Again, that birthing chamber that's been there since the fucking Man of Steel is once again being used in the plot element.
I was going to say, on our last episode, you opened the last episode talking about, or not, you didn't open it with it, but we talked about how the one thing you really give Snyder credit for is using the last movie. And what does this movie open up on? Which is a shot I really loved, which is Superman's his wail of death, calling the entire universe, letting them know Earth is no longer protected.
Right.
Like, now, as much as I have a problem with the universe sometimes he's created, I'm like, it's a pretty cool idea, and I love the visual. I love Superman's wail, just like the sound pulses going out.
It was cool, man. It was cool, and like I said, so once again, here are these things. It's just being super economical. We're not going to invent a new way to bring Superman back from the dead. We're going. Well, they kind of do with the mother box, but we're
going to use a Kryptonian birthing chamber.
Right.
With the mother box, the power of the mother box, and the Flash, all three combined to, bring him back. Right.
Now, but now at the very end of Dawn of Justice, you see that he's not actually dead, because you see the dirt
That's a weird thing.
up.
I've thought about that. I was like, if this was his original intention, what was the dirt moving mean? What did that mean?
I'll
That's weird.
explain. Let me explain.
Please explain,
I think that Superman was never dead.
Yeah,
I think that he was just like in the comics.
Yeah,
unspoken. He was in such a state of batterment or whatever that his Kryptonian biological makeup had him what's it called?
He was basically a drained battery.
Right, he was a drained battery. He went into a super hibernation mode. They explain this all in the comic, and it's stupid. It's a stupid thing.
You know what is? Do you know what is actually stupid? Is like whenever he dies, even in Superman Returns, the same thing happens. It's like they have him in Superman Returns. He's in a room with the blinds closed. In this, they bury his body. I'm like, does anyone know what's going on here? Like can somebody? I was like, who does anyone have Kryptonian? Like, I was like, Batman, can you do some research? Put him out in the sun, shoot him up into space. Like, try. He doesn't need to die like this.
You know what else too?
Stop putting him in the ground where there's no sunlight. That's all I'm saying.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah.
You did Man of Steel. You could do another film in between Justice League and Dawn of Justice called Without the Man of Steel. And it's literally like Project Cadmus, Superboy.
Yeah.
You could have Batman in it too. Have Batman in it. Have a bunch of stuff happening.
If things went better, that might have happened. Something like that.
Right. But I just mean like it just would have been cool to see just some of that other, and then Superman's body could go missing. And yeah, I don't know. I just thought it would have been, I don't know. I thought it would have been interesting. I don't know. Have you seen the animated version of the death of Superman and the?
Yeah, it's really awesome.
It's really awesome.
It's really good.
I thought they handled it really well. And the death and return.
When you bring something up like that, that brings me to like not just the actual events of his death and everything, but like we talked about so much stuff we love. What do I hate about this? Once again, I feel like he doubles down on the thing I hate, which is, in this cut and in the end, even the stuff he added, the stuff he filmed, I was like, there's two things I hate about his Superman is that he's completely dependent in every way upon his love of Lois Lane, which is great. I love him loving Lois. That's not what's wrong. But it's weird when you actually have it, and you've drilled it into the mind of the audience in two movies, that with the loss of her would come his complete and total lack of morality and breakdown into nihilism and villainy. I was like, that means that the core of his character is rotten and it's broken even now. It is not and that's fine. It's a different Superman.
Oh, no. You're wrong.
Superman that
actually. You're wrong. He gets corrupted by the anti-life equation too. Two things happen.
Like, Jeff, I'm okay with the scene where he wakes up from the dead and he has a momentary lapse where he doesn't know who he is, because that can happen to a human being, where they wake up out of a coma.
Well, it just makes it more interesting than just being like him being like, "Hey, everybody, I'm back."
Yeah, no. I'm not saying that scene shouldn't happen. What I'm saying is, if Batman's having these, like in BVS, he has these constant allusions to what's going to happen, Superman becoming evil. And then you have the Flash thing where he's like, it's all Lois, Batman. And then you have this coda on the end of this movie, once again saying, if this went on, we would basically just go into another Superman is broken again and Lois is dead.
Wait. And do we want to talk about that right now? Because I have a bunch of things I want to say about
that. Well, let me finish.
Okay.
And then we'll get, I want to talk about that.
Sure.
Well, basically what I'm saying is, I guess if you want to know why I hate I love Zack Snyder's Superman in design, actor, the physics, the music, all that stuff to me is fucking gorgeous, and I just love it to death. I love his suit. I love everything.
Right.
What I hate is that his Superman is so dangerous and mentally broken. Superman should be the picture of mental health. Superman is not broken. The world around him is broken. And it challenges him. That is what a proper Superman story should be, to me.
Right.
That is not what this is. And like I've said to you, that is okay. But man, did he double down on it here. Like it keeps every movie, he just keeps going, no, it will never be the thing that you want it to be. I'm like, can you just, I thought you were going to, I watched this and I was like, dude, I thought you were going to like spend all these movies getting Superman to where he traditionally was. You're going to justify it like he has movie to movie with everything else. You know what I mean? Like he just doesn't. This coda that we're about to discuss once again just drives the knife in deeper and twists. And I'm like, at the end, I was like, why did this have to be Superman? It's just not him. Anyway, go ahead. I've said my piece on that. You know,
I first of all, I love the idea that Superman goes bad in the future. I love the Flash warning him.
I get it. Yeah, it's fine.
I love all that stuff.
If I had a good Superman and I had a different reason he goes bad, like it was just the anti-life equation that messed with his mind, I can deal with that. I don't like the Lois dying thing. I don't like that. I just don't think that that's enough reason for him to go evil. Superman wouldn't become somebody that Lois would not love after she died. That is not Superman.
But his mind is corrupted by the anti-life.
That's fine. If it's corrupted by the anti-life equation, that's fine. Fine.
You're saying it's fine, but you're really not fine with it. You just
no, because I want Superman to be Superman for one movie, Jeff. One movie. Can I just have Superman be Superman? Can I just have it once? One. You know,
okay.
that like in a good movie, like Superman Returns. Yes, that's Superman. I don't like the movie that much. Can I have like a good Superman movie?
I have to rewatch it.
But that so to me, that's the actual portrayal of a real Superman that I would love. But it's also like there's stuff about it I don't like. Where I'm just like, can we give Henry Cavill like where he's okay? He's gotten through all the I'm not going to kill anymore, and I'm happy, and I'm going to save people.
I heard that he was.
You know,
when you said that they're not involved, I heard that they were. I heard that they might be involved in the future. Like, what is the deal? Is it 100%?
Who do you mean they?
Henry Cavill. Is he 100% out? Like, for sure?
They don't. I mean, I'm only reading stuff on websites. I don't know, but I think that the J.J. Abrams thing is going to happen, which is great. It's going to be like
the J.J. Abrams thing.
So J.J. Abrams is going to produce, not direct. He's going to produce a Superman movie starring Calvin Ellis, the black Superman from the comics, which is awesome. Totally about it.
Oh.
Yeah, very cool. Totally about it. And people that get mad at this shit, you get a life. But also, it's Calvin Ellis. He is from the comics. I want to see that. That doesn't even mean Henry Cavill isn't Clark Kent anymore.
Wait. Give me a super quick nutshell on Calvin Ellis.
He's from another world. He's Superman from another world. That's all. He's a black Superman from another world who's also president of the United States. I believe. I think that's the right one.
What?
Yeah. It's an Elseworlds tale from another universe. That's
okay.
All.
But wait a minute. So
he's a Kryptonian.
He is a Kryptonian.
Yeah, he's a Kryptonian. Yeah.
Okay.
He is not Clark Kent, which is the point here. What I'm saying is, if they do it, it could still exist in this universe because he's not Clark Kent. So Henry Cavill can still be Superman. It's not like he's not.
Gotcha.
Right. But I think who knows if he's going to ever come back.
They've established him. He's good. I've gotten used to him as Superman.
And the thing is like what I said to you is, I can hate his treatment all I want. I can hate the Batflex character treatment all I want. But the truth is, I'm interested to see where this version of them goes. I'll watch it, even if I disagree. Like, fine, he's evil. Show me what happens. I'll just go ahead, do it. I'll sit through it. I'll probably enjoy it and be mad about it.
So
go ahead. Coda,
right.
the Coda.
The Coda at the very end. So first of all, this movie is like just totally return to the Kings it like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Every goddamn 5 minutes there's another ending on top of an ending.
There's like Cyborg listening to the tape.
Yeah.
And then there's something with Wonder Woman, right?
There's a bunch of them. They opened up a Hall of Justice in Wayne Manor, which I thought
once again cool. Snyder using something from the last movie for this movie, like he established that, and then he's using it.
He's really fucking good at doing this stuff. Like
people don't give him credit for that kind of thing. They don't.
He's really good at that. I gotta tell you, and I wonder if we're going to see that in Army of the Dead. I'm really, really hopeful.
Dude, I am so stoked for Army of the Dead. Give me a Zack Snyder movie with no IP. Just let's have some fun. Go nuts.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm really sure.
And Dawn of the Dead is still probably one of his best movies.
It's really good.
It's a good movie.
But
Except for the dog, right?
I know you'll disagree with me. I know it's controversial, but I think 300 is a perfect adaptation of the comic.
Why would I disagree with that?
Oh, I don't know. I just thought that was like mirrored in controversy and people like hate on it.
No, but
thing and yada yada.
Jeff,
yada.
if I can implore you and anyone listening to this, give the sequel a chance. I love the sequel to 300. I really do. I think it's I think the characters are more human and it kind of grabs me more. I'm not saying it's better or worse. I just find it to be a little bit more entertaining.
You know what it suffers from? It suffers from the same thing that a Sin City, A Dame to Kill For suffers from. They're two movie follow-ups from two highly stylized films that came out the previous decade that did not get greenlit fast enough.
Yep,
and
I agree.
All the interest waned in them, and it felt
but they
stale.
have value. Both of them have value.
Yeah.
Both
of them have value, but they both feel about 5 or 7 years too late.
Totally. I'm not saying that it had a good marketing campaign or it was greenlit at the proper time.
300 Rise of an Empire was interesting.
It's a sidequel, which I find interesting. It's a sidequel.
What did you just call it?
It's a sidequel.
Yes.
It is happening simultaneously with 300.
Yep.
And I was
and before and after.
Right. And I was like,
at the same time.
I was like, I wish they advertised this aspect of it because it's not a sequel. It's like, here's your movie. What was happening over here? This is what was happening.
You know what I say? I say, give me that fan edit if you can make it happen somehow. Would it ruin 300? 100%. Like that movie is exactly what it needs to be.
But you could make the 3-4 hour cut of 300.
If I want the kitchen sink immersive experience, give me that. I'll watch that. I'll check that out at least once. You know what I'm saying? I wish we got more sidequels in general. You know, people get so upset, like, oh, this character's dead, so we can't do a sequel. It's like, no, do a sidequel where, and do it soon. Don't wait.
I don't know if that word existed. I don't know if I came up with it or if I heard it somewhere.
I got to tell you, I think it's brilliant. Yeah. And if you did come up with it, like, you're a genius. I love that.
I hope I did. I've been saying it for years because ever since Spielberg's War of the Worlds came out, when that came out, I remember that movie specifically ignited something in my brain where I was like, I would love to just see this event and see other characters dealing with this day. And because you know how it's like the way that movie's handled, I was like, I would love to see more characters dealing with this exact same thing. And at the same time, that Tom Cruise is having his adventure. And I was like more movies should do this instead of having events out. Yes.
Check
okay.
This
go ahead.
Out. All right. I just looked it up because you really did capture my imagination with this. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look at what it says. So a sidequel, a film or a movie in which the storyline and or characters were only supporting roles in a previous theatrical release. It is similar to a spin-off on television. It differs from a sequel in which the storyline and characters are assumed to take place chronologically after the original work. It also differs from a prequel in which the storyline and characters are assumed to take place chronologically before the original work.
So like the Scorpion King is more of a sidequel?
I don't know. I actually hate this definition of sidequel. I like yours better.
Well, we'll go with mine.
Yeah, screw that. Yeah. That's bad.
But I guess because like to me, Scorpion King would be a spin-off. It's not happening simultaneously. So it's a spin-off. Whereas
are you the guy who was telling me that either you or someone else does like a whole you've either seen all the Scorpion King films or someone. What was that?
I think I directed a short starring a guy who was in Scorpion King 4.
No, that's not what.
That's what I might have said, but I don't know. Other than that, there is 5 Scorpion King sequels, though.
I know it's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy that happened.
What I wanted to say though was okay. So we're talking about the coda at the end.
Coda at the end, right?
I loved it, absolutely loved it because I thought. Here's the thing. First of all, it does not feel like it's a part of the rest of the movie at all. It totally feels like a fan film.
It is tacked on in the hardest sense of the word, tacked on.
tacked on, but it like, are you familiar with Bat in the Sun? They do fan films.
Yes, they do,
and they do great.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to tell you, and the reason why I'm bringing up Bat in the Sun is not to knock them or not to compare this being like, oh, it's like Bat in the Sun in that kind of way. Bat in the Sun does way better. Like they should have hired Bat in the Sun for a fraction of the cost to make a way better. They could have done a whole action piece for pennies compared to what they did with this. My point being is that it did feel a little. It felt like a lower, like a worse version of a Bat in the Sun, like fan film, where you could tell it was shot in a backyard, where everything's like out of focus in the background. Brilliant tactic, but if you've ever like racked focus on a camera, and that like if you have a shallow depth of field, that you can make everything blur, so you don't really have to have continuity. But what I loved about it, here's the thing though, at the same time, I loved it because what's the thing that makes fan films, good or bad, so wonderful and intoxicating is that they are so truthful to the source material. And I felt
like more so than the creators sometimes.
Oh my God. This was so in line with comic book, like lore and minutia. This is what would happen in some mini series or some saga arc where Batman is forced to team up with the Joker and they don't tell you why. And then the last time we saw Slade, he was literally just being told that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And now here we are in the future and motherfucking Slade is now teamed up with Batman and the Joker. And the Joker is taunting Batman for killing Robin. It's just... And it's a little
it's so unnecessary. Goofy. It's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
To the point where, like what you said, like I'm not disagreeing with anything you said. I'm just saying it's so unnecessary. To me, it feels like he was almost trying to piss off the people who didn't want this anyway. Like everyone
was. No,
any of my friends who didn't
talking about before. About
any of my friends who watched this that weren't that interested were like, what the fuck was that ending? And I'm like, exactly. I was like, it wasn't for you. It wasn't even really for me, but I liked kind of watching it. I kind of don't like Jared Leto, but I
loved it. He sucked. Hold on. Jared Leto is not, I got to tell you, not a fan of his Joker.
Yeah.
He does not work in that role. I felt he was trying way too hard. He made all that like hype about how he's like the best Joker ever. I was like, that's your Joker? Like, really? Like, he was better in Suicide Squad, but I was like...
Outside of his Joker performance, once again, I still just can't get over how he would still be alive. I'm like, Batman would kill you.
I love that Batman's like, I will kill you before this is through.
Right.
I love all the badges on his chest. I just...
Not to sidetrack, but I was thinking about that with our last discussion, like, the bank scene with Wonder Woman, she straight up kills people in that scene. Straight up. Like, not just the explosion part.
Maxwell Lord. Oh, she killed Maxwell Lord. She's got to get out of the Justice League.
No, man. She like throws that one dude into the wall, and there's like his neck like bends the other way. I was like, I guess Wonder Woman can just kill people. Is that what we're doing? Fine. Zack Snyder just changes the script, and he just doesn't. There's no fucks to give on his part about it at all. Like, oh no, you're a bad person. You're dead. That's like his philosophy, his fountainhead philosophy, right? Just like you choose to commit sins, you are dead and nothing.
Yes, but we listen. We made peace with the fact that this was a murderous or a semi-murderous Batman, or this was a Batman whose line in. And again, I would really wish they would just like focus on a story. You want to know something? Once again, it doesn't ever come up. I don't think Val Kilmer ever kills anybody in Batman.
He doesn't.
Forever.
No,
he doesn't. And you want to know what? They don't even mention it. It's not even like Alfred. I can never tell. Oh yeah, actually they do. They do because he has the whole thing with fucking Dick. The fucking pathos. The character. The whole thing of I gotta kill Harvey and get my revenge. Revenge will take you on a dark path. You'll take one life and then you'll take another and another and another. It's just so well done, and it's such a people hate on that movie.
People hate that movie. I used to hate that movie. I don't hate it anymore. But
I know you said you didn't, but I'm just saying.
I changed my ways on that.
like it's just that once again, I'm just reveling in how true Batman.
It's still my third
at
favorite. It's still my third favorite of the franchise. But I do genuinely enjoy it now.
But you want to know what's funny is it's amazing how Nolan can actually like really enmesh. He's like, yeah, we're gonna make it all about like not taking lives, but then like at the very end, A is like, just because I don't take your life doesn't mean I have to save you. And and B, and B, I'm just gonna stop being Batman because I love you. I love you so much. So I'm gonna
Dude,
stop
we could do
Batman.
a whole show on
I know.
on The Dark Knight Rises alone. I just like hate it so much.
I'll tell you what. I want to. I have been meaning to revisit these three films. I've only seen The Dark Knight Rises once. When I revisit all three films, I will let you know. And if you want to revisit them yourself, you can. Or if you know them more well,
I'd have to rewatch them.
Okay, if you want to come on here and we can just friggin' shit on these movies, I will shit on them.
Sure, man. Because you know what, it's a thing where it's not like I'm
not shit on them, but you know what I mean.
It's that thing where it's like I'm happy. There's people who genuinely love this portrayal of Superman we're talking about. I don't want to take that away from them. I don't want to take it away.
I'm one of those people. I am one of those people.
Right. I don't want to take it away from you. And there's people who genuinely absolutely think that like Dark Knight is like a Godfather level masterpiece and they love it. And it's like the best movie of their lifetime.
Oh, Dark Knight. Sorry. I thought
the movie. The movie.
Yeah, no. I take back my metal horns. Metal horns gone. Metal horns
no, I meant the movie, the Christopher Nolan movie. And that's fine. Like, no, that, and you know, like, I don't want to take that away from him, but I like, you know, so I'm not, if I shit on it, I'm not saying it's not valid. It's still Batman. I don't like that version of Batman at all. I like Ben Affleck's version of Batman way more, and he kills people. So
right.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, let's get to the end of the movie now. Now, I remember the original ending of the movie being just so like, I was just like, by that point in the movie, I was stupefied by just how like bland. That's what I kept thinking. It wasn't that it was bad per se, and it wasn't that it was good.
You talking about 2017?
Yeah, it was just so bland
Jeff,
and devoid of soul. It was just CGI plastic. You know,
what's a shame is that I kind of like the one part of 2017 that I actually like is when he races the Flash at the end before the end credits. Not that I'm saying it was executed well, but I liked the tone. I was like, this is kind of what I would want from all this. If I was going to make this movie, is this tone for this moment.
Well, what about the subplot with the family in the house? And
oh no, not that. I'm talking about the very, very, very end. Remember when Superman and the Flash? It's like from the cartoons. It's like literally from the cartoons where they're like ready to race each other, and it ends on the two of them in the splash page of the two of them racing each other. Like Superman's flying and it freeze frames with him racing, and I'm like, that's
I never saw that. Yeah, I remember that. There's a cartoon, the animated series, where they're doing the race around the world and they're running on the water
for charity. Like, they're doing it for charity.
For charity.
And the 2017 cut, Joss Whedon ended it like that. I kind of dug that moment. I don't think it's properly fits in anything, but I liked it. Excuse me.
You know, I'll never forget that. Before we talk about the ending of this thing, I will never forget there's a Justice League Unlimited where Flash can't slow his heart down or something, and so he's vibrating, like he's permanently stuck with everybody moving so slowly that he literally can like live out the rest of his existence.
Yeah.
He's moving that fast. He's vibrating so quickly that he can't. Yeah, I just thought it was
great cartoon.
Great cartoon. So
all those ones are great. Yeah,
truly. But I love, dude. We didn't talk about Aquaman either. We got to talk about those two things. We can wrap this up.
Because Aquaman is fleshed out a lot in this, and it would have been before his movie too. It would have been.
He's good. Listen, he's good as Aquaman. I don't want to take that away from him. He's a great Aquaman. Talk about the shirtless male body porn,
dude.
situation.
I should have said this when we were talking about it. I was like thinking when I was watching it tonight, I was like, dude, look here. It's like a fucking bukkake scene with Aquaman. It's like slow motion foam just on his body.
Yeah, dude. I mean, just
and it looks awesome. It looks awesome. Don't get me wrong.
Pure guy porn, like just jumping into the water, objectifying the male form. He was great. Listen, he's a great Aquaman. He's good for pseudo comic relief. He's great with with the chemistry with the Flash. However, as I'm watching, I'm kind of reminded of there is a video of Jack Black with this ginormous bushy beard jumping out of a pool backwards.
Right? No, yeah, I've seen it.
You've seen that? Okay.
Yeah.
I saw that before they ever did any DC thing or whenever that came out. And to me, when I saw that, I said, that's my Aquaman. That
Jack Black
with that beard jumping out of a pool like that. And I said, it's like the brave and the bold Aquaman personality within Jack Black's body with big bushy beard. And I'm just like, give me that Aquaman. That's what I want.
Jeff, do you know what one of my favorite unmade scripts ever is?
No. What is it?
It's the Green Lantern movie written by Robert Schmeigel, Triumph the Insult Comic Dog.
Yeah.
You know who he is.
Yes.
One of the funniest human beings alive. I've always said Schmeigel's one of the funniest people alive. He wrote a Green Lantern script for Jack Black to star in it. And it was not no, it's real.
Out of here.
And it's Jack Black. He's not any character from the comic books. He's an average guy who happens to be worthy of wearing an OA ring. And like that was the whole premise of the movie is that
do I remember hearing about this?
There was
a
lot of clickbait articles like 10 years ago about it almost happening.
It's a shame it didn't. That would have been
it ended with him creating Christopher Reeve's Superman with the ring to beat up the bad guy because he was like, in the end, he was like, what would you do? What would a normal guy do? He's like, well, here's Superman. He just made Superman who beat him up.
That would have been something else, man.
But it's like the idea that almost happened. I was so excited.
Yeah. he would rock that. He would rock that boisterous, blowhard Aquaman, pure comic relief between him and the Flash in this movie. And obviously he's a little too old to like, he's slightly too old. Who knows? I think Ezra Miller, to be honest with you, is looks a little too youthful. I wish he was a little bit older as the Flash. Just a tad too young.
I tend to personally, in my mind's eye, view Barry Allen a little older and Wally West as younger.
He should be if anything, he should have been cast as Wally West.
I'd love to see. They've done Wally West on the TV show, and he's good on the TV show.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see like a Ryan Reynolds type Wally West movie with that tone. Like a much more jokey tone with Wally West. Yeah.
In the comic books, when I forget when it happens, it's in one of the infant crisis things when Barry Allen comes out of the Speed Force portal, still running from all those years ago. Just saying, I got to keep running. It's such an emotional moment and he's being chased by the Black Racer, I think.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't even remember what happened. I don't even remember what happened in the comic at that moment, but it was like this left out because that was a thing at the time in comics. Everybody always talked about how Barry Allen just disappeared. He just raced into the Speed Force being chased by the Black Racer to save everybody or something.
Right.
And he was still alive. He never died. He just kept running. He never stopped running. And it was just so, that's all I remember from it.
I know you don't watch the Arrowverse stuff, but if you,
no, I don't.
Do you remember the 90s Flash TV show?
First, the father of Bastion in Neverending Story 2.
Yes.
Was
John Wesley Shipp.
And he was awesome, Barry Allen. Perfect Barry Allen.
In the new Flash TV show, he plays his father.
Shut up.
And he also plays an Elseworld version of Jay Garrick. And during the Crisis thing they did 2 or 1 year ago, he actually played the character of the same Flash of the TV show. And like you get to see the end of his story. Like you get to see, like they actually did all of that with John Wesley Shipp. He's done all that stuff in that TV show. So like it's one of the coolest things, because I'm a kid who watched that show when I was actually mesmerized by it when I was young, and to see John Wesley Shipp come back and do all this stuff on a Flash TV show.
There was a movie. There was a TV movie, I think, at first, and then it
might have been. Well, dude, not only that, Mark Hamill comes back. Trickster. Mark Hamill as the Trickster is on the modern day Flash show, and like
it really makes me want to watch these shows. I just don't have the time to.
There's so much of it. I'm not saying it's all good, but if you watch like the first 3 seasons, it's worth it.
I feel like I had to get in on the ground floor. It might be too late for me. Just to enjoy the Crisis event, like I'd really have to invest in the show, and I just don't have that time.
Supergirl's a great show. The new Superman show is incredible. It's fucking awesome. They do a good job. Show? Superman and Lois. It's really good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's using the Superman that appeared on Supergirl. So the Arrowverse is one connected.
You know what the problem is, man? At the same time, like I would much rather, like my son is 5. I'm like, show him the Superman animated series.
Oh yeah, definitely do that. I would say priority wise, show that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I just like that's what I'm thinking. That's where my priorities are. I'm like,
it's on HBO Max.
It is right. That's exactly what I'm saying. So it's like, do I start with this? I mean, do I try and do something new? Like, I just showed him all Dinosaurs. We watched all of Dinosaurs, which is
season 4 of that show is so awesome, and like it's like literally a middle finger.
I gotta tell you, I hated the last 2 seasons. I thought, man. Dude,
did you not pay attention to 4? Did you not pay?
No, I did. I know what
they took like religion and everything to task, and they made fun. It was so good. I love that
from the beginning. And you know why it worked better at the beginning? Because they tried to like really make it a dinosaur society, and after a while, it became like situational comedy using dinosaurs instead of doing like showing us all of these like social issues, socio-political issues, but in the world of dinosaurs, it turned into like a sitcom thing. Like there was like,
I mean, season 4 is still my favorite one, but I can't tell you.
I got to tell you, I'm a huge Family Matters fan. I think we might have talked about this briefly.
Season 9 of Family Matters is some LSD stuff, man.
I gotta get there. I'm stuck on season 3. That's probably my next.
I'm not recommending you watch all of it. I'm saying go right to season 9.
No. First of all, I gotta tell you, I rewatched seasons 1 and 2, which I remember very fondly from my childhood, and I gotta tell you, it not only was it a great trip down memory lane, but I used to always hate those episodes because I always wanted to get to the later episodes.
Yeah.
And now I have a fresh appreciation for what the show was originally about
instead of being the local show.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's cool to see how TV sitcoms can sometimes devolve into other things,
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Like
we have to wrap this up.
We have to wrap it up. Yeah.
But we have to finish.
Yeah.
We sort of talked about Aquaman a little bit. I feel okay about that. Is there anything else we need to add about Aquaman?
I have the Aquaman stuff. I have nothing to comment on. I think that if this movie actually existed before his movie, it was a nice precursor. It was a nice little flavor of what was to come with his movie. That's about it. I mean, we got William Dafoe was in there and everything.
The ending. And we didn't talk. Hold on. One thing about Steppenwolf, he had really cool armor.
Yeah, he looked better. Yeah.
The armor was better.
He had the mind control armor device that came out of his armor. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
The parademon situation with like kidnapping people to find this mother box was a little like annoying. Like
a little weird.
Yeah, I just didn't need it. Didn't really need it. We got to rescue the hostages. It felt very Unjustice League-ish. Like give us something bigger.
I think he wanted them to have to do something small and like semi-fail at it.
Right,
together,
but our big bad did not change the whole time. I thought with a 4-hour running time that maybe we would get some granny goodness. Maybe we would get like kill Steppenwolf and then bring us another big bad in his place, culminating with seeing Darkseid.
But you said it yourself at the beginning of this episode. You said this is what he originally intended.
Right. Right.
I don't think
right.
back then there was a thirst to
I'm
do
right.
what you're saying. Whereas if I think they were writing a movie now, they'd be more inclined to do that. Look what happened with like the online presence of WandaVision. Like people want that stuff, so they're probably going to start doing it more. Where like they'll probably have like go dive deep dives into comics characters showing up. But I don't think 5 years ago Zack Snyder or his team or Chris Terrio was thinking about that.
We have to think like 5 years ago.
Like 5 years ago, what were you doing? Right.
Yeah. And then the ending happens. Batman kicks all kinds of ass in this ending. I was so stoked to watch him just like kicking Parademons' ass. He's using a gun and he's killing creatures with it. And it's just kind of like we lose the whole that whole stupid side plot, which literally made my mind melt. I remember it being so bad with this family that we don't give, who's living in a radioactive, like why is this here? Why do we need this?
The only reason, once again, like I totally agree with you, but once again, I like seeing Superman saving a building of people and the Flash like looking over and going, oh, like there are moments there where I'm like, if this whole movie was this, it could work, but it's not. It's a Frankenstein monster and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I get what you're saying, but like it's a vibe, it's a tone problem, is it not?
A little bit. And then the final fight, Superman comes in. He's in the black Superman suit. Love it.
Fan service. I'm accept
total fan service. But I got to tell you, seeing Superman come in and just kick all sorts of ass and
that was awesome. Yeah,
it was just absolutely awesome. It had me. I was cheering.
The blade,
the portal. Yeah, the blade.
The blade. Yeah, I loved how like Henry Cavill was just like. Just like totally like douses the fire of the blade. I was like, that's pretty awesome. Yeah,
because we don't see ice breath ever.
Right.
It just the whole thing. They kind of team up together to kick his butt. They cut off his head. They send it through the boom tube.
But to not gloss over it, I like that Superman kind of like he opens the jar, but the rest of them smash it. Like it's all of them doing it together. Like Wonder Woman cuts his head off as he throws him through a portal.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was teamwork. There was a teamwork element there.
Yeah. But I have to tell you, there's an element of teamwork in the Avengers that I feel like, and I'm not talking about necessarily the movies, I just mean in general. I feel like the Avengers operate on a much different level than the JLA. And I feel like the JLA just don't work together in the same kind of way that the Avengers do. I don't know what
I think that there's a more evenly matched power set in the Avengers, even though you have like Black Widow and Hawkeye. Sure, they throw it off, but like there's especially in Zack Snyder's version, obviously in this movie, it sets up the fact that Superman is going to carry the load of blunt force at all times. Batman's going to carry the load of thinking, plans, strategy,
right,
at all times.
It was Batman's plan.
Batman
was going to bring the team together. Batman's going to, and that was the other thing too that I thought was really stupid. Again, now just kind of jumping all over the place. The thing about Batman, he's like, there's some bad enemies coming. We gotta get together. Like, I know it's supposed to be like bringing the team together. It just wasn't a very Batman Bruce Wayne kind of way. There was
him being aspirational is very un-Batman like, and also the line he said where it's like they might have fought every evil person for the last 5,000 years, but they never fought us or whatever. He said something weird like that, and I was like, but you're just okay. I don't know if you guys equal everything Darkseid's ever faced. Like, what are you talking about?
Right. We also, and then, again, we see Darkseid for a brief moment. They stare at each other. It's epic. It's everything that was described to us when we didn't know that this was going to go down. It was epic. I was very satisfied and stoked. And, what's up, Xander? Thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate
Xander Scullion. That's a cool ass name.
I think it's a cool name too.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Xander. It was cool. It was definitely cool for what it was and what it's supposed to lead to. Should we touch on that real quick? Do you know what the other two movies were supposed to be?
I know. I only briefly read about like his plan that Batman and Lois would have a child eventually. While
I have it right here. I have it right.
You have it. Then don't rely on my memory.
I'm gonna pull this up real quick. Zack Snyder almost threatened to. Right, we didn't talk about this. We got to talk about John Jones too. Hold on.
We did a little bit earlier. Remember?
We did super quick. He was almost gonna quit the movie because they tried to pull the Green Lantern scene. Right, we did kind of talk about this. And then they kind of shoehorned John Jones, which I was so happy to see the Martian Manhunter.
I'm happy to see him, but it
served no purpose.
Jeff,
no purpose.
Did you find it really weird that the conversation between Martha Kent and Lois Lane was between her and Martian Manhunter? What the hell was that about?
Well, I just thought that Marcia Kent was so out of place in this movie, period.
But what I'm saying, the emotional resonance of that conversation is killed by the fact that it wasn't Martha Kent. It was Martian Manhunter. What was happening?
Who's been here since the beginning? He's in.
Right.
He's the Colonel
he's the Colonel from Man of Steel. Right. No, I know, but
which I thought was cool.
The emotional resonance of those characters having that talk is just stomped on by the fact that it was not Martha. It's weird.
That's true. Here we go. Sorry, I'm so yawny tonight.
No, it's fine, man.
Been up a long time. Zack Snyder shares the plot of Justice League sequels never to be made. So this is where we're winding down here. This is the secrets revealed, as the clickbaity title says. Here they are. However, in an interview with Vanity Fair, Snyder did reveal what the sequel films might look like for the next two parts of what he said. This is where I got that whole thing about the 5-film series, or as he says in an interview, a 5-part trilogy. He said that his version of Justice League is the middle of a story that began with the Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman, which is why I said what I said about Endgame, and then you corrected the course by saying it was Infinity Gauntlet, of which I agree. Right?
Yeah, it's the middle of a story. So
right.
Yes, we agree.
So, yes,
Cyborg all the way.
Absolutely right. At least Martian Manhunter didn't tell Lois she was thirsty. That would have been awkward. Yes. So he's saying it's a 5-part trilogy. What did you call an actual 5-part trilogy? It's not a quintology. Quintology. It would have been a quintology. He said that his version of Justice League is the middle. Hold on. Snyder said that Lois Lane is the key to foreshadowing the next 2 movies he had planned for the Justice League. Darkseid comes to Earth. Superman says to Batman, guard Lois. This is a war between me and Darkseid. If you can help me as a friend, keep Lois safe. Meanwhile, amid alien attacks, Luthor unites with the Invader, which totally, again, I think that works for me. Luthor tells Darkseid that the key to Superman's weakness is killing Lois Lane. That works with Dawn of Justice. Makes perfect sense to me as well.
For the characters he has laid out, it does work.
For the characters he has laid out. Exactly.
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Right.
Yeah.
Batman fails. He hesitates. They were in an argument. That is to say that Lois dies because Batman becomes distracted. Snyder said that for the 3rd Justice League film, he wanted to take a more comic book approach and reposition everything within alternate timelines. What happens in the post-apocalyptic world is Cyborg works an equation to use a mother box to jump Flash back in time to warn Bruce about this moment where he didn't have the courage to sacrifice himself to save Lois, which is what we see in Dawn of Justice.
Right.
And, again...
You know what? So it's all building to basically...
Endgame. It's all Endgame.
It's this. It's the Doctor Strange one thing moment that they would probably have, where Batman would look at Lois about to die and he realizes, oh, there's only one way out of this. I have to sacrifice myself, right? It would come down to that moment, right? Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it really is just sort of aping Avengers, although I'm sure it would have been...
I'm sure it would have been executed extremely differently, and movies are movies. They all do the same bullshit thing eventually.
He says, hold on, let me finish this plot here. He jumps back in time to warn Bruce about this moment where he didn't have the courage to sacrifice himself to save Lois. So in that moment, he does the right thing and sacrifices himself, Snyder noted how this would change the course of the Justice League universe. Superman doesn't succumb to the anti-life equation. Then the final movie has Aquaman leading the forces of Atlantis, Diana leading the forces of Themyscira, and Superman and Flash leading the forces of humans against Darkseid in a giant war, which brings us to the other element we did not talk about, which was this flashback. They do a Lord of the Rings prologue flashback where where Atlanteans, Amazonians, and men use and someone with a green ring.
Was that Kilowog or was it?
No, it was not Kilowog.
I don't know as much about Green Lantern. Some Green Lantern. We probably should know, but yeah, and it was also the gods too. Like it was like the god, like Ares was there.
It was Ares, right?
Yeah, and they all pushed back, and they saved the world once, and basically it was saying that this is the second Age of Heroes,
right? And
second time that humanity has done it.
Ares had a very Jack Kirby feel to me.
Yeah. I liked Ares on the screen.
It was interesting, but the whole thing was very CGI, and
yeah,
it was just like, I don't know. It was weird because it like didn't feel historically accurate. Not that it should. Like, what a weird thing to nitpick, but it's like you're saying it takes place a long time ago, and it just like I don't know. It just feels like a weird like army of humans with like their weird helmets.
It also felt like it's like where you forget what year anything is happening. You're just like, when did this happen on Earth? This happened on Earth? What is happening? Right. Yeah. And then it feels like you said, like Lord of the Rings. It's like, oh right, this is on Earth though. This happened on Earth. Okay.
Right. And and the mother boxes are the One Ring. So it's like combining Avengers Infinity War with the One Ring, because again, what are the gems? What are the gems? They're the mother boxes. Got to gather the mother boxes. It's like literally that. Right. It's the same formula being done on the DC side of things. Do we hate it? No, not necessarily. But
a MacGuffin is some of the greatest movies that we love in our lifetimes have been about MacGuffins, and that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Indiana Jones movies are about MacGuffins. That's what they're about.
Hitchcock invented them, and you know. I just, man, when you just did this just now, and you made me think of how great Avengers. Did I share this with you? I don't know if I did. Did I talk about how I reveled when I rewatched Endgame and was reveling?
Yeah. Oh no. Did I lose you?
There you go. There you are.
Are you back? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm there.
Okay.
It happens. We're
online. What can you do?
That moment where it's not the moment where he snaps. It's the moment when Doctor Strange. It's all the moments of Doctor Strange looking at Tony, and then Doctor Strange going like this, and Tony instantaneously knows that means he has to die, and it's just. Oh, it's so good.
No, that's like why you go to the movies, like right there. Like that moment.
But it's just so, but it's also just so comic booky, and it's just so, and and why are we talking about this and not DC? Because it's like a compare and contrast of something done so right with something that has been hobbled and sort of like cobbled together and done as many things that were done as afterthoughts. And overall, Zack Snyder, I know we were very critical, but Zack Snyder's Justice League is an overwhelming success. I would like to see.
I would say for what the people who wanted this, I think got exactly what they were asking for, 100%. And it was a try for them. It is a 100% triumph. It is not for a lot of people. It's not for a lot of people. Right. It's self-indulgent. It's really long. It doesn't have everything that is in it. Doesn't need to be there to tell the story. I'm straight up.
Right.
But it is exactly what they asked for, and they get it. So that's success.
You're right. Yeah. I got to tell you, this is my third of 4 shows this week. Tomorrow night, I am doing a deep dive on Rent.
Just the show or the movie or what?
The show and the movie. I am a big fan of the movie. I've never seen the show, and a couple of Chris. Chris, Chris.
Which
Chris Etheridge, I think is.
Oh yeah. I know Chris. I don't
Chris
know
and,
him.
Rakafet or
we are friends on. We are friends on Facebook. That's about, through film circles.
Right, through film circles and various crossing paths in various ways and shapes and forms.
Does he hate Rent? And you're like gonna
we're just gonna talk about it, but he is on my side. He likes the movie more. I saw the movie first. That was my first exposure to Rent.
Right, yeah.
And I just think the movie's brilliant. I love musicals, and I just think the movie is.
Dude,
brilliant.
I once saw last Little Shop of Horrors on like an off-Broadway thing here in Baltimore, like the nice and awesome. I was like, I couldn't take it. I was like, because the movie's one of my favorite things to ever exist.
You couldn't take it?
No, like I know. I'm saying I saw a live performance of Little Shop. Yes. And comparing the two to each other, I was like, I can't stand this version because just like the way the people perform the songs and stuff, I was like, I could sing this better. You're ruining it.
Are you a fan of the director's cut of Little Shop, or do you prefer the theatrical?
I mean, it's hard because I grew up with the original, and I do like the happy ending, but obviously I think
it changes the whole meaning of the.
It changes the meaning. I think the director's cut is a better movie. Yeah, it's a better movie, but I did grow up with that song. I really love Mean Green Mother from Outer Space.
They won an Oscar. That was an Oscar.
Yeah, like it's a great song. I love both.
Yeah. It's that is one of my favorite musicals of all time.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Same. So, that is my favorite musical of all time if I had to pick, but yeah.
It's just man.
I do like Rent too. I'm not saying I wasn't trying to diss Rent. I like Rent.
Right.
I just think it's funny that you're that you're doing it on Rent.
Dude, I just have to talk about Rent because I watched it again and I saw
make sure to bring up Team America and Chris Columbus's filmography, which is everywhere.
But you know what's interesting? I just didn't realize how dark of a film it is. I mean, how dark of a story it is. It is really dark.
Yeah.
Not just because Angel dies, but because of what you don't realize is that like Roger and Mimi, like they're all gonna die really soon.
Yep.
Because
it's not a happy ending.
It's not a happy ending at all.
At all.
And when I first watched it, I thought it was like a very happy ending. And then this time I'm thinking about like the songs they're singing and like why he's trying to write one song because he's going to die really soon. And Mimi wants to shack up with Roger because she's going to die really soon. And I'm just like, fucking hell. This is so depressing.
It is, man. You don't have to convince me. I agree. If anything, if you talk about one thing tomorrow or that you don't talk about is the only beef I ever had with that movie, and I haven't seen the show is anyone listening that are like, what the fuck? They're talking about Rent. Is that Mark as a filmmaker, the film he makes at the end, I'm like
fucking Bolex.
Well, I'm like, yeah, he used the Bolex, but in the end product of that film, I'm like, I remember seeing that movie, like, what was it, 15 years ago? And I'm like,
yes,
that's not a film. That's just that's like a home video. I was like, this is nothing. Right. I was mad at just that. I was like, that's what a film is?
I just love how, like, he carries around a camera that can only shoot 3 minutes, and he has to be very selective with what he shoots. And he only can shoot 30 seconds at a time, and 15 of the 30 seconds aren't going to be in sync because it's a spring motor system.
Right.
It's just really funny. But I think Rent is the perfect place to end this show. I want to thank you so much. Like,
thanks for having me, man.
These conversations, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm about it.
But this was great. We'll do something again in the future when
man, we'll definitely do.
We'll figure it out.
We can talk about it. I feel like we could talk about any movie, basically. So,
we really could. And if you ever get an idea that you think would be good, you pitch it to me, and if I like it, you come on. Sure. If I can riff on it, we'll do it. We'll do it because, like
absolutely,
I said, I'm trying to do this every day that I can. But right now I have to rest my voice because I'm going to be doing a lot.
We have been talking for like 2.5 hours. So
2.5 hours, but I guess I can't. I was going to say I've been talking all week, but that doesn't really count because I feel like every day your like voice resets, right? Like when you go to sleep, like
to some degree, I think you can tear it up. Like singers tear it up after a while.
Yeah, probably doing a little wear and tear as the I did 9 hours. I streamed 9 hours last week, and this week might be close to 9 hours too. So
Holy
it's
shit, dude.
Dude, I am logging.
You're a machine, man.
Dude, it's exploding. My channel is exploding. I'm really seeing a lot of growth.
That's
and
good.
The only way it's going to grow is if I keep doing more.
Keep hitting it. Yeah, you got to keep hitting it, man.
I want to keep hitting it.
Keep doing it.
I don't want to go back to a day job. I want to do this. So
hey, you know, I share when I can. So
yeah. Listen, Bob, have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for joining us. Like, subscribe, share. Check out the Thunder Grunt Podcast Network as well.
Yeah.
Loads and loads and loads of stuff. Bob does a whole thing. We should have done this at the beginning, not at the end of the show. Bob does a screenwriting podcast with Jimmy George. And who else is on that?
So I do, my podcast is called Thunder Grunt. It's multi-shows. The show that people listening to this would be interested in maybe is Writers Blockbusters. It is a script show with Jimmy George of WNUF fame and Jamie Nash, he's written movies with the director of the Blair Witch Project, Edward Sanchez, and he also just wrote an official Save the Cat book. So I'm doing a script show with two guys who are very pedigreed and know what the hell they're talking about. I'm the straight average guy. They're just bring the audience in.
Jimmy has his own business. He does something called Script Butcher.
He's a consultant. He's great.
And he's so good at what he does that he does it full time now, and he's usually booked out of the wazoo.
Yeah, Script Butcher is great. Jimmy, he's so dedicated and he knows what he's talking about. These guys are just amazing. Let me tell you.
Really are.
Are. So yeah, if you follow, and also if you want to just watch my shit, you can go to youtube.com/thundergrunt. That's my personal channel. youtube.com/thundergrunt. Podcast is all the podcasts.
Thunder Grunt. Hold on, I'm putting it in the thing so you know that is the spelling. Thunder Grunt right there. That's what it is.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? Maybe I'll link it in the comments if Facebook doesn't erase. I'll just put it in the description.
Whatever, man.
All right. Cool. Have a good one. Peace and hair grease. Oh, I always do that.